everybody! Welcome to the stream. Hi there, Jeff Maxlum. You got One Piece on the brain, I see. One Piece is all a manga, right? Like, I couldn't read a manga on stream because you're missing out on the pictures. I'd just be reading the dialogue, although that does sound really fun. Just disconnected dialogue where, like, you don't even know what the context for it is. Like, oh, what is that? Can't you recognize it? It's the thing of destiny. What? No, the thing of destiny. Like, that'd be kind of funny, I guess. But no, I already have a book picked out. We are continuing the book. This is my third stream where I've been reading from the book. The first one was my birthday stream where we read book 1, book 2, book 3, and then the first 20 chapters of book 5. We skipped book 4. And then last time I streamed it over on YouTube, it would be fun. I probably, but yeah, last time we streamed it over on YouTube, we read chapters 20 through 40. So we're starting with chapter 40 today. This is Seas Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong, and it is from the series known as I'd Rather Fall Among the Stars. So I'd Rather Fall Among the Stars is a fanfic. It's published on archiveofourown.org. Oh, I should have put exclamation point book in the description. Oh, I know, I can't do that because that's Twitch and we're on YouTube. Now, yeah, we're reading fanfiction. We are reading fanfiction. let me get the link. Here, let me get the actual link, the one that I need to have typed down somewhere so that I can copy paste it wherever I want to. We want the commands. I'll just paste it over from I'll paste it from my thing. Here we go. I want the book one. All right, edit. Let me grab this. Copy and just paste it over in YouTube. Sounds great to me. YouTube. Alright, cool. There we go. There's the link to it. So this is available on Archive of Our Own. So if you do not have an Archive of Our Own account, you will not be able to access it, sadly, which is what I'm here for. I'm going to be reading the whole story to you. You plan on playing a game while listening to your stream in the background. Hey! Perfect. Glad to hear it. So, I gotta do my disclaimers. I gotta run my disclaimers past you. So this book does have swearing in it that I bleep out because I'm not comfortable reading swearing. So it is not a 100% accurate audiobook reading of the fanfic. It is also, again, since it is a Warframe fanfic, it does contain spoilers. Up until this part, I think the farthest that the characters have gotten in the quests so far is the War Within. They've gotten up to the War Within, so there will be spoilers up to the War Within. And once they get to the sacrifice, I'll give the spoiler warning for the sacrifice. But basically, when reading the book, if you have no idea anything about Warframe, these are just characters. They're just characters in Warframe. If you do know stuff about Warframe, my deepest apologies, there will be second-stream spoilers. They're not super explicit, but like the characters are Tenno, so yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid those spoilers. Anyway, so a bit of backstory. So if you're just joining in now, like I suspect Jeff Maxlum probably is. If you haven't read, so this is chapter 40 out of 180 something, I think. Let's see, 186 chapters, but we are in chapter 40. So the characters have already been well established by this point. So just a refresher on the characters. Oh, no. I promise. This is 100%, like, it's, you know that meme of, like, anime when you watch it alone and it's just, like, you know, people fighting. It's like anime when your parents walk in and it's, like, some really awkward scene. Like, I promise. There's nothing like that in here. It's a safe for work fanfic. I wouldn't be reading it if it was otherwise. But yeah, it's really good. And there's nothing weird in it. It's wholesome. It's just wholesome. Okay, the characters. There is an established relationship. You have Judge and Kore, call sign Hades and call sign Persephone. Hades and Persephone were both scarred by the Oricon. and they cope with their trauma in different ways. Judge is like hyper claustrophobic and has some other issues, and then Corey doesn't like people seeing her. She doesn't like being exposed, except, yeah. And it's, so those are the two main characters. Judge, I think at this point in time, he just got his Anaros, and before that point, he was remaining Nova, I think? I think he's in the process of transitioning mains at this point. And then Corey, as always, is the Saren, for the most part. And then the two side characters have just been introduced, Punk and Sheik. Hayden, hi. You know how long you'll be here? Alright. Well, I'll try to make it a nice, comfy bedtime story reading for you. Welcome back. I'm just giving the backstory of the characters for people who aren't familiar with them. We're on chapter 40. We're still reading from the same fanfic that we were reading last time. So yeah, you got Judge and Corey, aka Hades and Persephone, and now we've got Jude and Joy, aka Punk and Sheik. So Punk and Sheik were recently introduced. They're side characters where Sheik is basically a gambling addict. Well, not addict. She's a gambler slash, she's like the Tenno equivalent of a stock trader. Like, that she makes her money by betting on the index and betting on the conclave. And she's very business savvy. And then you have Punk, who is really good at the conclave, so for obvious reasons, Sheik bets on him a lot. That's Sheik spelled C-H-I-C. I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce that Cheek or Sheik. Because Sheik sounds like S-H-E-I-K, like, you know, Legend of Zelda Sheik, but it's like chic, as in like fashionable, you know? I don't know, anyway. Aw, bye Hayden. Have a good one. So yeah, Punk is just basically a train wreck. He's really good at Conclave, but he's really horrible at everything else. And he and Corey at this point are bonded over Kuba, because they're both obsessed with Kuba, to their partner's horror. I think that's... Oh, and we have been introduced to the Empress and the Alpha. We don't know that much of them yet, but they have been introduced as characters. We don't know that much about. We know that the Empress is idolized by Corey because she's a super high pro Saren, and then the Alpha is this really creepy, super tall, super ominous person who speaks like one-word sentences, and that's all we really know about them at this point in the story. They've just been glossed. They've only recently been introduced. Anyway, I think that's enough backstory. I'm going to head straight over to the fanfic. So, again, with a disclaimer, I'm going to be bleeping out the swearing, and I'm going to be reading chat in between chapters. So if you say something and I don't respond, don't worry about it. I'll respond after each chapter. Alright, and with that, let me pause the background music and get my ASMR background music up and going, because I forgot to run this first. Alright, let me know if the sound is okay. Let me know if it's too loud, if it's too soft, if it's overpowering my voice, if it sounds okay. And with that, I'm going to hop in to the work. Alright. I'd Rather Fall Among the Stars series. Book 5. Seas Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong. Written by heartslogos. Chapter 40. Wait, so are you two friends now? Judge asks, incredulous, as he looks between Corey, who's dragging Punk behind her by the back of his neck. No, is Corey's immediate and predictable answer. No, is Punk's slightly unexpected and solemn answer. Judge turns to Sheik. Sheik shrugs as she helps Corey shove Punk into the extraction pod. We're best friends, Punk says. We're bonded over Kuva. Disgusting! I bet you have Kuva stains all over your suit again, Sheik sneers as she steps into her unit, her extraction pod slowly rotating and detaching. I'm not washing that. Do you know, Corey looks a lot like your Warframes. It's like someone made a little person out of your Warframe, Sheik, Punk continues as he follows suit. Judge turns to stare at Corey as she calmly steps into her own extraction unit and switches to their private channel.
You came out to Punk?
We bonded over Kuva, Corey says with a note of finality. Unfortunately, Judge doesn't think he's going to be able to hold himself in line over this one.
I thought you were going to murder...
Who's saying this? Oh, Judge is saying this.
I thought you were going to murder me when I first saw you. You just... explain it to me.
I think Punk explained it I think Punk explained it very succinctly, Corey says. He can hear the visible raise of her eyebrow. We bonded over Kuva. He thinks it tastes peppery. I don't know what pepper is. It tastes like fizz cola that's gone lukewarm and flat. I don't like the taste.
You ate Kuva?
Drink. It's a liquid.
You drank Kuva? Why? Who does that? Why would you put that inside of you?
Hades, are you going to stand here in the middle of the ship that we just set on fire to talk about Kuva? Or can we take this to a ship that isn't on fire?
Yes, we're talking about it, and you aren't going to distract me,
Judge says, quickly fastening his mag to his extraction pod. He feels Mag's limbs get locked into place, and he quickly releases himself from her, coming into the transference chamber of his own ship. Skyla switches the comms audio to the ship's system. I knew I liked you for a reason, Persephone. You have excellent taste, Sheik was saying. Your frames? Always so spot on. Now I know why Hades' frames are a disaster. His actual suit is tolerable. Cora still speaks through a random synthesizer around Sheik and Punk. Random, just to make sure they don't catch on and isolate her voice through some sort of scrambler. Judge is fairly sure neither Tenno is that invested in figuring out Corey's real voice, but Corey's mind works in strange ways. He spent so much credits in platinum and ducats on the worst visual choices, Corey says, and somehow everyone thinks he's the brain between us.
It's probably because no one ever sees you do anything other than hack and slash at stuff,
Judge says. As opposed to you, fool who rushes in and ruins every single one of my shots.
Ooh, lover's tiff,
Punk laughs. You're one to talk, Sheik huffs. How many times have I had to abandon an objective because I had to run back and save your useless butt?
But you lack my useless butt.
It's shapely, Sheik says. Useless, but shapely, and it costs me credits.
It's very high maintenance. Is anyone going to explain to me how you became friends?
Judge interrupts before things can get too far off track.
Jealous I'm gonna steal your girl?
Sheik bursts into loud, speaker-crackling laughter. Stars, Punk, you little idiot! If anything, Persephone is going to steal your girl. Punk gasps.
You're leaving me? For her?
And then he pauses.
No, wait, that's fair. I'd leave me for her. No one is leaving anyone for anyone else, Judge says. You two are friends?
We drank Kuva, Corey says. That's hardly a prerequisite for friendship.
We argued over flavor.
He's probably been concussed multiple times. I think it broke his flavor palette, Corey says.
But you don't know what a pepper is, so you can't say it isn't peppery.
I know what flat fizz cola is, and Kuva tastes like it.
Have either of you two considered that it tastes different to different people?
Who is saying this? Hold up. 1 second. Okay. Have either of you two considered that it tastes different to different people?
Why would you even drink it?
That's the part right after Punk and Corey are friends that's really getting to him.
That stuff it's like incredibly dangerous, possibly sentient on its own. Well, what else were you supposed to do with it? Punk asks. Throw it away? Cause environmental damage? Possibly poison some poor animal? So your solution is to poison yourself?
You do whatever you want with your Kuva, Corey says, and I'll do whatever I want with mine.
I thought you threw yours out.
You thought, but you never asked.
Why would I ask you if you drank the poison?
Well, don't just assume I didn't and get weird about it when you're wrong, Corey says. I drank it.
Not my problem if you just assumed I didn't. I mean, you weren't there. Why would you know? Because I know you, and I know that you never put yourself as beholden to anything, and drinking kuva is pretty much that. Not if you control it, Punk and Corey say at the same time.
Don't get started on this, Sheik says. Trust me, just don't.
But
don't. We'll be here forever, and I have credits to earn and parts to trade, Sheik says. Just let them drink their garbage juice.
Garbage juice that made them friends.
We aren't friends.
We're best.
No.
Mean.
Corey clicks out of the comms with an unnecessary and audible static feedback.
That's just petty, Punk says. I love it. She's just like you, but, like, pastel.
I love it, Sheik agrees. But stop baiting her, because she'll shred you, and I'll just watch because you earned it.
Again, petty. I love it.
Oh, right, I have my little transition thing. Hold up. End of chapter 40. Where's my little transition thing? It's over here. There we go. Okay. That was weird. Let's do that again. Okay, the game I'm playing is Unbalanced and Pay to Win, and you're playing ranked right now.
You'll be raging. Your voice will hopefully cool me down. Alright.
Hope to keep you nice and calm, with an argument about Kuba. Yeah. The chapters are pretty standalone, so... yeah, have fun with your game. I'm just gonna go right on to chapter 41. Sees Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong by heartslogos. Chapter 41. Neja's optics are almost completely disguised in its helmet, so it's not like Judge can say he can see Corey glaring at him. But Neja's head is turned to him, and Judge is getting that feeling in what Corey calls his soul. It's a very Corey-specific feeling. Judge admits to himself that he has a very large amount of Corey-specific feelings. If you were to make them physical and tangible, his orbiter would be twice as crowded as it was when he had all of his stuff, before Corey helped him clean up the place into something slightly less horrifically jam-packed. Judge is very glad you can't see or touch feelings. He thinks he might scare Corey if she could see the density and volume of that mass. This specific Corey feeling tells him she's giving him this look through her warframe, as if to say, do you see this? Are you seeing what is happening to me right now? If Judge chooses to really think on it, he'd say it reminds him of how Handsome looks sometimes, when Handsome is particularly displeased by some occurrence going on around them. Handsome usually follows this look up with angry, unstoppable, unavoidable yowling. Hades, Corey says Hades, Corey says softly, flatly. What is she doing? Punk punches him in the back before he can answer and says quickly through a private channel, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Judge chooses to keep his mouth shut for once in his life, and he thinks Corey would be proud of him for learning if he wasn't learning against her. Your streamer things, Sheik says, arranging said streamer things, are a mess. I'm fixing them. By whose leave? By whose leave? Sheik repeats, laughing, jostling Corey's Neja frame. Who talks like that?
Empress and Alpha,
Punk says. Right, but that's different. They're like better than us. Corey bristles, and Judge can't help but frown, scrunching up his nose. No one can see it, but he thinks somehow it translates through his silence, because Punk slings an arm around his shoulder, a little awkward because Ember is a bit shorter than Inaros. No, really, it's a given fact. It's not an insult. I'm pretty sure that the reason the Orokin didn't mess with them so much was because they were scared. All you need to do is look at their energy trail and know. That's beyond a Tenno. That's God? Judge and Corey exchange skeptical feelings. Judge would say glances, but again, no real eyes. Wait, do you mean... Corey says, pausing, do you mean the Empress?
The?
Judge repeats under his breath, because if even Corey knows about this person, then they must be the real thing. But Judge has no idea who these call signs are. They're kind of pretentious. Then again, his call sign is Hades, mythological god of the underworld. He guesses that he has no room to talk about pretentious call signs.
Yeah, Punk says. I mean, there isn't more than one.
Corey goes very still, a true feat considering that she wasn't really moving much to start with. She calmly continues untangling and straightening out Nej's streamers.
You know the Empress? You've spoken to the Empress? Yeah, Punk says. She's my mentor.
The sound that comes through the channels from Corey's completely still Neja could best be described as organic static feedback.
Are you okay in there?
Punk asks, tentatively reaching forward and poking Neja's arm with his fingertip before retreating behind Judge. Punk, too, is also learning, and Judge thinks Corey would be deeply pleased with this if he weren't witnessing what sounds like her untimely, unexpected, and deeply unnerving demise.
Corey?
Judge calls through their private channel.
Corey?
He wonders if the Empress is someone Corey's trying to avoid, like she was trying to avoid Punk. He wonders what she did.
He knows the Empress,
Corey says, voice strangled like she wants to say 30 different things at once and isn't sure on which sentence should leave her first.
Judge! He knows the Empress!
Girly? Cheek tugs at one of Neja's streamers. You in there?
The Empress! The actual Empress!
Corey continues in the private channel. To Judge's immense surprise and slight discomfort, she squeals.
He's being taught by the Empress,
Corey says.
Void and stars and solar flares, Judge. The Empress was so amazing during the Old War. All of us in the Saren unit dreamed of being like her. Judge, did you know that Ballas would leave her to entire colonies? He'd just have her drop at one colony, and he'd trust her to get from there to, like, the next outpost by herself. No help or any real monitoring needed. No backup. I heard that once she cleansed an entire coastal line of infested in 3 days. 3 days! Just by using one spore. She kept the single spore going for 3 days.
Judge stares at Corey's Neja, realization slowly dawning on him. A realization he can't seem to comprehend.
Corey,
Judge repeats softly, but she's still going.
There was a rumor that she was the real Saren Tenno, Saren-000, but her code was Saren-002. And they also had her deploy as an Ember sometimes, but I think she was an Excalibur first, like me! But she was also a Necros a lot, too. I can't believe she's Punk's mentor. Judge, do you think we'll get to meet her one day? Corey, you're a fan, Judge says, as Corey waves her hand,
Corey, you're a fan, Judge says, as she waves her hand in front of Neja's face.
Also, I think you're scaring them.
You're scaring me? Corey switches back to their party channel and her voice synthesizer.
The Empress is your mentor and you still fight like that?
He says mentor. What he really means is that sometimes she drops by to come along on our missions and laugh at him, Sheik says. I feel so bad for the Alpha because he has to I feel so bad for the Alpha because he has to actually save Punk's butt from behind. Save him from behind, handed to him. I feel so bad for the Alpha because he has to actually save Punk's behind from behind, handed to him single-handedly. But listen, I need a break too, okay? And watching the Alpha work? Chef's kiss. He doesn't even need a Warframe, I swear. I messed up at the end there. Ripperoni. Ah, DR7. Hello, DR7. Hello. Hey, and Macaulay Mastra. Hello. Aw, tanky. Been wondering, how do you, oh, you're asking Macaulay. I've been saying Macaulay. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. The way it gives each character a different voice. Aw, Tanky! I'm glad you like that. Yeah, all of the really good audiobooks that, like the Audible ones that I've listened to, they all do that. So I figured it's probably better to differentiate the characters so you know who's talking, especially when it switches character without saying he said, she said, they said kind of thing. Like when Judge and Jude were having the argument about Kuva, like they just kept transitioning back and forth between the two of them, and it didn't give like the transition like Judge said, Jude said kind of thing. So I figured having different voices would probably help make all that less confusing. Appreciate fan fiction as a reading genre. Ooh, I write fiction on My Hero Academia on Wattpad. Ooh, cool beans. Let's see. I think I stopped watching My Hero Academia at season 3, so I haven't seen past that. So, fortunately, I am not up to date, but I can definitely appreciate good fanfic. I have like a big long list of fanfics that I think are really good. Excuse me. I think I had before I started reading this, I had made a poll on Twitter, like which genre do you want me to read from? Like I had, you know, My Little Pony up there, I had Warframe, I had Portal 2, I had Overwatch. There was another one. What was the other one? Undertale? No, it wasn't Undertale. It was something else. I don't remember. There's a bunch of different fanfics that I've read that are really good. Maybe when I finish this in like 5 years, maybe we'll actually no. How long would it take? So we're doing 20 chapters a day, and we're at chapter 40. So we're gonna get to 60 by the end of the day, I think. So 80, 100, 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's 6 streams. Maybe, let's go with 7 streams. And if I do this every other week, so 7 times 2 is 14 weeks. And 14 weeks is how many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 months. So I can just finish this in 4 months. Cool. So after 4 months, when we're done with this, maybe I'll read a different fanfic. I can make it the fanfic reading thing. Oh wait, no. And then there's book 5 after this. Book 5 shouldn't take too long, though. It's only like 2 chapters. Unless you read it myself, you never understand anything about any story. Ah, okay. Well, I mean, it helps if you're familiar with the franchise and you're really passionate about it. Like, I really like this story because it delves into the deep nitty-gritty of the universe. Like, in this fanfic story, they're like eating protein bricks with blue flavor and red flavor, and it's like, that's such a cool detail. Like, it's not canon to the game, because the game never addresses what Tenno eat, ever. So, like, this fanfic makes up the protein bricks, and it's like, oh yeah, they eat protein bricks, and they sprinkle powdered flavor on them. And it's such a really cool detail that I really love. It just adds so much flavor to the game. By answering the questions that nobody asked, but just everybody would want to know the answer to. I don't know, I just really love all the small flavor details like that this story has. Anyway, yeah, when I'm done with this story, if you guys want to vote on the next genre of the next franchise of fanfics that I read, definitely. And if you want to recommend fanfics to me, I will absolutely read them. Like that My Hero Academia one, if you want to shoot it my way, I'll definitely read it. Yeah. One franchise I really need to read more of is Bionicle. I've only read like 3 Bionicle fanfics, I think. Like, I need to find some more of those. You're sorry you left so abruptly. Hey, it's fine. People come, people go, people have IRL stuff that they gotta take care of. I can't fault you for that. One fanfic you're writing is on hiatus because you're too lazy to write. Same. I have one fanfic that was slated to only have 3 chapters. I wrote 2 chapters. I wrote half of the 3rd chapter, and then I, like, never finished it. You could probably track it down. You could probably track it down if you wanted to, but, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I can understand that feeling, too. Rants about Warframe and fanfics. Yeah, I think fanfics are really cool because they're just like, I mean, obviously they have a bad reputation because, you know, a lot of people look at a franchise and they're like, but what if these guys dated? And, like, that kind of spirals off into its own thing. And so that it's kind of given fanfic a bad name, where somebody says, oh, I love fanfic, and automatically everyone thinks that you're talking about, like, smut and stuff. So, I'm always hesitant to bring up the fact that I read a lot of Warframe, because I assume that's what people will think. But, like, there's so many really good fanfics out there that, like, don't even have that kind of stuff in it. And it's like, fanfic is just a way to show your love and appreciation for a franchise that you really love. Like, for instance, I've always wanted to be an author. I never have any time to write books, but I've always wanted to be an author. And the very first book idea I ever thought of was a Redwall fanfic. You guys have read the Redwall books. Like, I didn't even know fanfics were a thing. I didn't know they existed. All I know is that, hey, I have a great idea for a Redwall book. And, like, I didn't even know what to do with that. I'm like, maybe I'll write the book and send it to Brian Jakes, the author, and maybe he can publish it. Like, I don't care if I don't get money. I just want people to be able to read my idea for a Redwall story. And, yeah, and then then, like, years and years and years later, it's like, oh, that's called fanfic. But yeah, they're super cool. The taste of red flavor is red. Yep, there's a chapter about that later on. Hopefully we'll get to it today. But there's a chapter where Corey rants about red flavor and stuff. It's great. Aw, Jeff, you're raging? No! Your team didn't do anything to help me. Ah! My condolences. It'll get better. Yeah, let me catch up with chat, and then I'll start into the next chapter. Maybe that'll help calm you down. Hey, glad it's entertaining. No chaos. You're writing something right now. Ooh, nice. Hey, if I could help give that inspiration. And then the worst is when you have these amazing fanfics that just never get finished, and it's so sad because there's such great ideas that are just awesome, and it's like, and then the next chapter never comes, and the person moves on and stops posting, and it's like, it feels like a bit of your heart's ripped out. Like, you keep waiting, and it never comes. You tried to make a manga. Ooh, yeah. Anything that has, like, I'm not good at drawing. I can draw, not digitally. I tried to draw digitally once. My first collab ever was an art collab with Luna and Cepheus, and that went lovely. I made some fan art of Luna, but that was my first attempt at drawing anything digitally. Like, anything that has to do with drawing, you need a lot of practice for, traditionally or digitally. So yeah, and you always just get better. You just gotta practice and keep drawing, and you'll get better and better with time and practice. And that's basically what it boils down to. And it's kind of painful because I just want to personally just skip straight to the being good at it, you know? Like, I don't want to be bad at it. I just want to sit down one day and be really, really good. And then I get really frustrated when I draw and it's not really, really good. I don't want to do the practice. I want to skip to being awesome, and it doesn't work that way, and that makes me sad. A plot point changes and they don't make sense anymore. Yeah, I know. I have one of the people I went to school with actually did stuff like that. She was big into Star Wars, and she had all these ideas for, like, small snippets, but she couldn't think of good plot surrounding it, so she just wrote down the snippets, like one chapter, just a snippet. She'd put up, like, a little thing before the front of it saying, like, okay, this is the setting, this is an established relationship, this has happened in the past, alright, enjoy this moment between these two characters. And she'd just write the one snippet that she really liked and throw it out there and post it. So it's like, even just doing that, you could practice writing too, because writing, just like drawing, you need to practice. You gotta get good at it. Gotta get good. Yeah, it all takes practice. I even just encourage doing that if it helps you get confidence in your writing style and learn from your mistakes, because there's a lot of cringily written fanfics out there. One fanfic I will recommend. It's an Overwatch fanfic. It's called Lost in Time. And I love this fanfic because you can watch the author's writing style improve. Like, it starts out, chapters like 1 to 10 or so are like kind of poorly written. They're like not as good and polished as, you know, this one that I'm reading right now. But as it progresses, it just gets really, really, you can watch the author's writing style. I think it's a she. They get constructive criticism from the comments, and they, over time, their writing style just improves dramatically until, like, by the time you get to, like, chapter 30, chapter 40, they're, like, novel tier levels of excellent writing. I'm talking about, like, sentence structure. I'm not talking about, like, plot lines. I'm talking about the sentence structure, about the paragraph structure, of the descriptions. Like, you watch their progression as they turn from, like, a meh author to, like, a stellar author. And it's really cool just watching that progression, watching the author learn, and watching the author become something really spectacular. And if you before you get on my case about, like, bashing me for criticizing, oh, at the beginning of their career this author was really bad, like, I already made a comment about it. The author agrees with me. They responded to the comment and everything like that. But it's like, I just love how you watch them become something beautiful. Anyway. The last chapter for this year, see y'all next one. She never came back. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah. Well, writing just takes time. It just, you gotta have dedication. You gotta sit down and you gotta write. Yeah. That's how I got fast at typing, was just, I wrote down, I was trying to write a book. I wrote it down, manually on, traditionally, in paper, and then I transcribed it online, and just transcribing the book made me go, it helped me learn how to type. I never had those typing instructor things. It was all me transcribing a book. You've been discovering writing, and you're not going back and changing, like, the prologue or anything, just to see if I get that effect. Yeah, so I went to a writing class at one point. I'm so off track. Like, I need to start reading the chapters soon. But, like, it's just this one last point. Like, it was a published author gave the author what did I literally just say? The author writing course, and she told me that you have to come to terms with the fact that your first draft is not going to be published. You have to, the first draft is garbage. It always will be garbage. Every single first draft is not going to make the cut. You write the first draft to get your thoughts, to get the story all sorted nice and neatly. And, you know, you can add in some descriptions and whatnot, but it's like you get it out there so you know what you're going to be writing, and then you go back and you completely rewrite the entire story all over. And I don't mean like, oh, I delete this paragraph and I add in a new paragraph and then I switch the sentence structure around. Like, no, you go back from the beginning and rewrite the entire thing using the first draft as a reference. And unless you're, like, there are some authors out there who don't do that, but there are, like, people who have written, like, 10, 20 books. Like, I don't know if, like, Brandon Sanderson and Stephen King and whatnot, I don't know how many drafts they go through, probably, like, 1 or 2, but, like, they have written, like, 20 trillion books, so they've gotten to the point where they've practiced, they've got their art down, they know what they want. But, like, if you haven't written 20 books, yeah, if you want to write a book, you're going to have to completely rewrite it once you get the first draft done. And that's just the way it works. That's because looking back on the first draft, you're always going to be like, oh, wow. You'll see that your writing style has improved, and you can add in foreshadowing. You can get rid of subplots that you thought were going to play a big deal, and it turns out they wouldn't play a big deal after all, so you can chop them out. You can change maybe character motivations around so that it all blends together seamlessly in the final work, so you won't have these loose ends floating around. This is what the first draft is for. It's for giving you the basis so you can see everything in one big picture and make it so that you're able to change things accordingly to make it a cohesive story. Anyway, Accepting that the first draft will be awful is so bitter. It is, because you pour so much time and love into it. You sit there writing it as if it were going to be a published book, and I can understand that, because it's like, you don't want to go back and rewrite it. You've already written a book. You don't want to write the same book again, but sometimes it just needs to be done. But yeah, it's because you've poured love into it. You've written it. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Jesse OJ10. Hi, we're rambling about writing. I should be reading the chapters, but we're talking about books, and I need to scroll up because I missed some chat. Why on earth won't this message go through? I've been trying to ask if there's a general chat in the Discord server. It is. That is Burn and Moonlight. Burn and Moonlight is the general chat in the Discord. Yeah. I think, so with Discord, when you click on a channel, at the very top of the page, it has a little blurb telling what the channel is. For instance, if I click on Bot Boys, it says the dwelling place of the bot minions. Okay, that's not a very good descriptor, but it's where you chat to make bots happen. And then with Burn and Moonlight, where is it? Burn and Moonlight, it says general chat. But yeah, you can just say whatever in Burn and Moonlight. Okay, she walked down the hallway and saw a red pointy knife. 2, she left the dark room and decides to leave the house. The hallway to the exit was bright and she saw a red stained knife on the ground. Yeah. Just learning how to write better is just a thing that you gotta learn with practice. And reading. Definitely reading, reading like good stories and then like looking back. I would say, yeah, never mind. I'm about to go off on another tangent about like fan fiction and stuff, but it's like really interesting if you read something that's like, you know, a published book or whatever, and then you go and then you read, like you purposefully read a really bad fanfic, and it's like, you can use that to train yourself. You can say, okay, why is this poorly written? What are they doing wrong here? And how can I avoid this in my own works? I don't know. Like usually when I read a fanfic, if it's poorly written, I will try to mentally analyze the story, like structure of the sentence, and say, how would I rephrase this sentence? How would I rewrite this paragraph to make it better? You know, that's just what I mentally do. Like, you don't have to do that. That's just how I do it. Anyway. The first sketch is always bad. Hey, everyone's got to start somewhere. Everybody starts. You can't start at something and instantly be a genius at it. Everybody's got to practice. Everyone has to start somewhere, and when everybody starts, it's gonna be poor compared to people who have practiced for a really long time. But that doesn't mean that what you do does not have value. Just because it compared to somebody else's work is poor doesn't mean it objectively is poor. It just means somebody else has had more practice. So it doesn't mean that your works aren't good. It just means that you can learn. Talco. Hello, Talco. Sorry I didn't say hi earlier. I'm trying to catch up on the backlog of chat. Welcome. Welcome from Brazil. Welcome. I'm sounding like a booktuber now. Oh no. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm rambling about books. I need to keep reading. Draft, write, read, draft, write, read. Multiple books with alike stories. Read, draft, and write. Yeah. Reading and writing. Gotta learn. Finish eating your dinner. Yay! Well, welcome. Doki Doki Literature Club mod. The mod where we actually study literature instead of stabbing people. Instead than stabbing yourself. Let's not do that today. Burn and Moonlight. Yep. Go to as much rants over fanfics as you want. Yeah, well, I ranted. Listening to music as you write is really misleading because you apply the music to the scene in your head, and it's beautiful, and then you read it. Yeah, I personally, I'm a person who doesn't listen to a lot of music. I'm a person, when I listen to music, I pay attention to the lyrics. Like, my brain is fully absorbed in processing the lyrics. Like, I never just tune out a song and listen to it in the background. I always have to strain to hear what they're saying. So for me, songs that I like are ones where the lyrics make sense. Like, I don't like songs. Anyway, no, I'm not starting a tangent about music at all. That's why my favorite genre of music is parodies, because they're songs where it's centered on the lyrics. It's all about the lyrics. The music's an afterthought. Anyway, but yeah, because I don't listen to music very much, like, I can't focus if I try to write with music on in the background. I have to have silence. But that's just me, because I'm weird like that. Compose and animate. Ooh, animations. Animation also takes a lot of time and effort to get good at. Yeah. I've tried to teach myself Flash animation, and I tried to teach myself SFM animation, and I've tried to teach myself, what other? Traditional animation. You know, oh, everybody's done those flip books, right? In like middle school and stuff. Like, you have your little notebook, and then you draw a stick figure in the corner, and then you turn the page and draw another stick figure, and then you flip it and make it a flip book. Like, everyone's probably made like little animation flip books in their notebooks. I know I've made like 1 trillion of those. I don't know if that counts as traditional animation, but hey, there you go. Aw, I'll take you, DR7, for trying. Yeah. That's wholesome chat. Wholesome chat. No, don't swear in here. Booktubers are good. Alright, cool beans. Cool beans. Broke multiple... Oh, yeah. Everyone's learned. Yeah, you learn with practice. Orchestral songs. Ooh, yeah. Orchestral songs are really cool. Oh, got you. Well, you don't have notebooks for homeschool? Probably just sheets of paper. I don't know. I was not homeschooled, so I don't have that experience. I guess most people are probably homeschooled nowadays, but with COVID and stuff, I heard schools are opening back up again. Oh well. Okay. Pivot animation. Oh, I don't know what that is. 5K views. That's a lot. Are you just gonna say it in chat every time I say cool beans? It's an actual saying. I didn't make this up. People say cool beans. I don't know why people say cool beans, but it's catchy. It wormed its way into my brain. I don't know. I guess if you break it down, like, why would you add beans to the end of the word cool? I don't know, but it works. It works. Prom or well, I didn't have prom or homecoming either. My school didn't have that. It did have graduation though. You don't have friends? No, he didn't. Don't worry. I'm sure everybody here in chat can be your friend, and I'll be your friend too. Don't you worry about that. Just because you didn't have friends in school doesn't mean you can make friends with sheer force and determination. Plus, people will say anything. They'll agree to be your friend if you put a gun to their head. You guys are all my friends, right? Yeah, got you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it became a phrase, but cool beans and aw beans are all things. Alright, anyway, I'm dragging this conversation back to the book. We are going to continue reading. I will read all of the chat after the next chapter. So, yeah. I'm cutting you guys off right now. You can chat whatever you want, but I ain't gonna read it until the next chapter is done. Alright, here goes. Next chapter. See as who could sing so deep and strong by heartslogos. Chapter 42. What is on your head that isn't your hair? Sheik asks, baffled, and Judge feels the tips of his ears burn. It's a hat, he says. Can't you tell? It looks like garbage, Sheik says. Sheik, the Tenno, looks a lot like Sheik, the Warframes. Her hair is pink, not like Corey's pale pink. It's a very vivid, eye-catching, loud pink. And there's a lot of it. Just a huge mass of pink curls that fluffs out like a violet cloud. Judge thinks Corey would find that pink cloud very intimidating if she were on Cetus to see it. Sheik stares at him, at the hat, and Judge doesn't think it's warranted. It's a nice hat. It has a mask too, Judge says, and then promptly puts the mask on. Sheik's face quickly twists in disgust. Ugh, take it off. I didn't think it could get worse, but it did. Did you pay actual currency for that?
It's nice. I like it.
Stars! I should have known from your frames that it would be this bad. But overall, your other Tenno suits looked fine. I figured that Persephone's a girl with taste, and she wouldn't be caught dead with you if... Oh, Sheik blinks. She's basically your self-control, isn't she?
What?
Does Persephone color your suits for you? Sheik asks.
Yes,
Judge answers. Judge used to color his own, but one day he came back to his ship and Skyla had told him that Corey had come on board and replaced all of his suits with new ones, and she'd thrown the old ones into the incinerator. Judge didn't really care because his old ones were getting tight, and the new ones fit really well. He was, at the time, mostly interested in figuring out where the incinerator was. Bless that girl. She's probably some sort of star-made flesh, Sheik says. She can fight, she can dress an idiot. What can't she do? Alright, since she's not here, I guess I'll have to do this. And I thought the only baby I had to manage was Punk.
I'm not. What are you? Do what?
Take care of you so that you don't go around... Take care of you so that you don't go around looking like an accident of severe proportions, Sheik says. Take the hat off. I'm going to fix this. I can fix this. Besides, I feel like I owe Persephone this much. Or maybe it's a gift for her future self. Whatever. Take the hat off and give it to me.
No,
Judge says baffled, but finds himself taking it off and handing it to her anyway.
I like that hat.
Sheik throws it like a frisbee, and Punk's Kubro goes running after it. Punk's Kubro seems to like following Sheik around more than he likes following his own Tenno. Judge gapes. You are a very cute boy, Sheik says, nodding to herself, but you mess it up by making very bad choices all around. Physically, probably mentally and emotionally too, but right now I mean physically.
I paid for that,
Judge says. You'll get it back eventually, Sheik says, though I can't believe you wasted real-life currency on that. Don't tell me how much. If I know, I'll start doubting your competence more than I already do, and it wouldn't be good for our teamwork. Judge frowns. There's so much there to comment on.
And you work with Punk.
It's not really anything against Punk, but his general overall battle competency, unless he's working in a very, very specific situation, is doubtful at its best of times, and downright horrific at its average. Unspeakable at its worst. I know what to expect from him, Sheik says. You? Now, I'll forever be wondering if it's competence, dumb luck, or a fluke. Corey's voice in Judge's head says, "The fool rushes in," and Judge sullenly admits that Sheik is probably actually wrong, and it's entirely the grace of a higher power, Corey, mixed with extreme good luck. Now, Persephone's already got you set up with black and magenta, so let's build up from there. I don't know why you thought adding on bright green would do you any favors, but whatever, I've worked with worse.
What do you think?
Corey asks, and Judge stares at her newly colored rhino.
Are you okay? Ordis, what is your operator's current biometric readout? Have there been any flaws? Any unusual readings? Has she been anywhere strange recently?
The Judge asks, standing up and quickly striding over to her, trying to take a good look at her eyes for any bloodshot redness, or burst vessels, or anything. It's actually a little challenging to take someone's vitals without touching them, but Judge's eyes widen, and he backs away, covering his nose and mouth.
Ordis, can you do a scan for any airborne pathogens?
Belay that, Corey says, scowling at him. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me?
Judge asks as he points to the rhino.
What's wrong with you? Corey, I know you. If anyone else colored a rhino like that, you would rather die than be seen in the same atmosphere as them. And you're telling me you're going to go out in that on purpose?
Corey frowns, and instead of looking hurt or mad, she looks disappointed.
So, it isn't believable? What isn't believable?
That I sincerely thought these looked good? Judge gapes at her.
You want to trick people into thinking you make bad choices?
He's keenly aware of the fact that coming from someone like himself, whose default colors are an almost brown purple, black, and magenta, he has no room to talk about aesthetics. But this is Corey.
Sheik gave you 3 free palettes.
Corey stomps her foot.
Because you can't choose colors on your own. I want free colors too. You wanted to pretend to have taken a third go-round Europa because you wanted free colors?
Judge repeats, dumbstruck.
Corey, just ask her for them. She'll probably give them to you for free.
I'm not asking her for anything.
Do you want me to ask for you?
No, Corey snaps, and then turns to her rhino, grimacing. Let's wash you off, big guy. Come on, we'll figure something else out. And thus begins Corey's quest to coerce free colors out of Sheik. Alright. Oh, everyone's thinking of bean-related expletives. Oh no. Hi, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Sounds like someone's a little tsundere. Who, Sheik? Is she tsundere? Is that what tsundere means? I wouldn't call her tsundere. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm not the best judge of character, I guess. You need to spill the beans. Oh no. Oh no. This is a great bean battle. You're not even paying attention to the story anymore. It's just the beans, I guess, everywhere. Beans being flung at the walls. Beans being spilled all over everyone else. Wonderful. Enjoy the bean. It's like a food fight. It's a food fight in the chat, except only beans. Okay. Chapter 43.
Does it feel this way for you?
Judge asks, slowly testing the stretch of Valkyr's legs, the movement of the balls of her feet, the arch of them. Explain, Corey says, in her own Valkyr frame, and watching Judge from the top of a pile of corpus goods. Corey's Valkyr glows a vivid red over black and blue, and the small optic cameras along the sides of Valkyr's face glitter in the light, a stark contrast against the gray sky. They're just waiting for pickup now. Between the two of them, they've covered the entire corpus base in claw marks, half-melted walls, blast zones, and bodies. Corey led the way, as always, showing Judge how she uses her Valkyr, how she and her Valkyr use each other. He admits to feeling a mixture of both awe, pride, and envy at how effortlessly Corey dispatched so many corpus. Judge and his own Valkyr frame are sending mixed signals at best. Transference is stable, but his thoughts are jumbled, and he finds himself going too far, too fast, and crashing, or otherwise getting himself lost, even though he knows how to move. Judge knows deep within himself how Valkyr moves, wants to move. He knows how to move them. He just can't get it right.
I feel tense.
No, that's not right. Valkyr's body is loose, ready, primed. The tension is inside somewhere. The muscles of the stomach, the back, the fingers.
I feel anxious.
That word also isn't right, and Valkyr's body seems to harden against it, resist the idea, restless and unsatisfied. But Judge doesn't know what words to use instead. He casts out for them, but he doesn't know. He picks at the discontent inside of himself like a hangnail. You feel thirsty, Corey says, just as he begins to feel that not anxiety build up more, pushing a frustrated and hot sigh through his throat. Parched. Valkyr seems to pick up a little at that, latching onto the words, and the sigh disappears, replaced by a ringing absence, a relief after the irritation. For the first time, satisfaction. Judge doesn't think he feels thirsty, though. Valkyr remembers. We aren't the Tenno that suffered and died, Corey continued, examining her claws. But the frames remember. Don't you remember? During the war? Valkyr wasn't like this. Gersemi.
Their original models were Gersemi. It wasn't until after the war. It wasn't until the Corpus that the Gersemi became called as the Valkyr. The Valkyr frames are all built based on blueprints of a Gersemi that was tortured. They all remember. It's built into them, Judge. Judge grimaces at the reminder, but Valkyr's body warms, like metal, at the words. The Valkyr frames are made angry, thirsty, ravenous, Corey continues. They want to fight. They want to scream. They want to bring pain. They want revenge. And they want it with their own hands, not a weapon, not a gun. Corey pauses. This is probably why you're having trouble. You like Mesa and Nova and Mag, long distance. Judge wants to point out that Corey also likes long distance, Ember, Saren, sniper rifles. But then again, he realizes Corey also loves to be in the thick of it. Corey gets a thrill whenever she kills multiple targets using her blade without anyone ever seeing her. It's a different sort of thrill for her than her distant assassinations. Don't think. I can't believe I'm saying that, but just don't think. Move. Valkyr can handle it. Valkyr can handle anything, Corey says. You always moderate your energy output to avoid burning something out. You don't have to with Valkyr. They're sturdy, and they burn the energy off just as fast. Valkyr moves on instinct, like you sort of. If it's like me, how am I so bad at this then? Judge asks. You're cataloging things, Corey says. You always do that when you're in a new frame. You're mentally making notes and stuff. In the actual fights, you do okay. It's just when you're not fighting and testing things that you and Valkyr start falling out of sync. How else am I supposed to know what to calibrate? Corey shrugs. How do you do it then? Judge asks, sitting down at the base of the crates, leaning against them. Valkyr was one of my first frames, Corey said, before I found Saren again. I don't use her often unless I need the speed. We aren't suited for each other. Judge can't help but snort at that. Corey hits the back of his head with a bit of rock. Valkyr feels too much all the time, Corey says, and you know how I feel about feelings. Don't? Exactly. Valkyr draws it out in me. I just feel all of my anger and spite and my excitement and my hurt and my pride. Everything. And it makes me want to go, go, go. When I'm in Valkyr, it feels like I get tunnel vision, and that I can't focus on anything else but how angry or excited I am, and the next enemy in front of me, and how good it feels to move and exist in that very moment, and how much better it will be when I go on to the next opponent, Corey says. Valkyr isn't a very patient frame for me either. I like using her. We're compatible in our talents and our distastes, but I can't use her all the time. I get too wrung out, I guess. The judge guesses he can sort of understand what Corey is saying. But how do you get what you want and what your frame wants to match up? Corey is quiet, speculative, and then she shrugs. I don't. What? With Valkyr, I don't. Valkyr knows better than what I do what we need to do to get from point A to point B. I can feel the frame guide me, sort of. I mean, it's not like Valkyr is in total control. That's not possible. They aren't sentient to that degree. It's just that there's all this violence built into her. She knows. So I go through the generic motions, and I know Valkyr will see me through. There just might be a touch more violence and passion in it than necessarily needed. Tsundere is someone who's mean to their crush. Isn't this a love story? Yes, it is a love story, but not between those two characters. So, Judge and Corey, aka Hades and Persephone, are the two who are in love. Well, not real. They're in a relationship right now. They care for each other. They love each other. I don't know if I'd call them in love, but they definitely love each other. So that's the deep voice guy, and then the raspy voice girl. Those are the two that are in a relationship. And then you also have Sheik and Judge. What are they? They're partners.
I don't know. They're like, I guess boyfriend, girlfriend. I think, yeah, they're probably boyfriend, girlfriend. But they're in this funny relationship. I don't know. So Jude and Sheik. Punk and Joy. Punk and Sheik. Wow. Okay. The problems of having two characters with similar names and then having two characters. Never mind. Sheik and Punk are. So Sheik is the really high pitched girl voice, the one who was handing out free color palettes. And then I gave Punk the southern voice, even though he doesn't actually have a southern drawl in the story. So yeah, in that passage with the free palettes, Sheik was talking to Judge. Sheik was talking with Hades. So Hades is with Persephone, not Sheik. So Sheik is just one of his friends. Yeah, they're just friends. Someone who's mean to their crush. No. So that was Sheik and Judge, and Judge is with Persephone. Anyway. Oh, goodbye, DR7. Goodbye. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Is that a bowl of rice? Delicious. Potatoes. Those are potatoes, not beans. Come on. My eyes are closed as I read, so it looks like I'm reciting it from memory. That's because I have so I have the chat overlapped on top of the story, so I can't read the story if the chat's on top of it. So I have the story scroll down to the bottom of the page. There's like 2 inches of story. And then, it's at the bottom of the page, so I'm looking down to see it. So I guess I'll put it at the top instead. Alright, let me move the chat around. There we go. And then, yeah, I'll just read from the top now. Thanks for letting me know. You pretend they're beans. They're real beans. Are they friends we made along the way? I wouldn't call a friend a bean. I guess a small bean, you know? Like, what a small bean? You got cat's beans. You got bean paws. I don't know if that counts. It's a diminutive form of friend, of small bean. Fanfic I've written has 35.9k reads. Ooh, that's good. That's huge. I posted a TF2 fanfic to Archive of Our Own, and it's got like 10 views. And again, it's just a one shot. Feel bad for the readers because you're too lazy to update it. You're part of the problem. No, I'm joking. Hey, if it's got that many hits, it must be really good. Sounds awesome. You should be proud of yourself. That is a lot of readers. It really is. Alright. So, let's move on with the book at the top of the page instead of the bottom now. Oh, it's a little glass of water. How cute. Axolotl Boy's lore is being built up more and more. Wait, what? Lore? Is the bean part of the lore? Bean friends? I don't know. Anyway. Let's go. Chapter 44. Oh, I love this chapter. This chapter is great. Chapter 44. There's been a bed on this stupid ship this entire time, Corey says, incredulous as she stares past the door into an incredibly decent bedroom. It has a bed, and it looks like it must be connected to the Helminth room somehow because she recognizes the fish swimming behind the glass as the one she sees lurking in the other room sometimes. The room, to Ordis's knowledge, did not just spontaneously appear, Operator, Ordis says, and Corey just continues to gape, even as Pestilence and Joy squirm past her to start frolicking about the bed with blankets and bedding and pillows that she's never slept on once. Ordis can only assume it has been present since the initial creation. And you never told me? Corey throws her arms up, gesturing at the nearest camera in the hallway. I've been sleeping on the floor, on rags, on scrap metal, on my dogs. Not once did you think to tell me that there was an actual to-the-void bed on this ship with blankets? Operator, Ordis doesn't sound nearly as repentant as Corey would like. The operator knows that Ordis has suffered significant damage to Ordis's memory banks. That I repaired ages ago, Corey snaps. You did this on purpose. Ordis is quiet before there's an electric disturbance that sounds like warm, coppery laughter if one is used to digital sounds that aren't supposed to be made. If one is used to digital sounds that aren't supposed to be made being used in conversation. Ordis could not help it. The operator just looked so adorable, curled up on the floor of the orbiter. Ordis could not resist, Ordis says. The weave of Karis and the cephalon he is now braids together like copper, warm and promising too much entertainment on Corey's behalf for Corey's comfort.
So you let me sleep on the floor because it was cute?
Corey scowls, stomping into the room and trying to shove her kavats off the bed before they shred it. She smooths the covers back down and lies over them. The two kavats immediately start to tussle over her before settling into some sort of agreement. The plague curls up on Corey's right, head wedged into Corey's neck, paws kneading at Corey's shoulder, as Joy curls up on Corey's left upper body over Corey's legs.
The floor isn't comfortable, Ordis. I'd go so far as to say it's terrible as a sleeping surface.
Please forgive Ordis, operator. It has been so long since Ordis has gone through biological sleep cycles and felt the physical discomfort that Ordis must have forgotten. Karis is closer to the surface, and Corey scowls viciously at the ceiling. There is an incoming message from Tenno Judge. Shall Ordis answer it? Ordis says, as Corey sulks at the ceiling of her ship. His voice has eased off on the mocking edge and into something more professional and a touch of apology. Yeah, fine, Corey says, eyes narrowing a little when the light of a display hologram lights up next to her. Judge, did you know that these ships have bedrooms?
They have what?
Bedrooms. Sleeping quarters. Like actual quarters designed for the sole purpose of lying down and resting, Corey says, gesturing at the screen to do a slow turn and take in the room. Go ask your cephalon. Judge is quiet for about 3 seconds before he says, very calmly and softly,
I'm going to call you back.
You do that, Corey says, and the connection cuts. She scratches the blight under the chin as the creature mews. There is another message from Tenno Judge, Ordis says. Corey waves her hand and the display returns.
There's a bedroom on the orbiter,
Judge says, and when Corey turns her head to look, he's standing in the hallway that would lead to the bedroom, supposing that their ships have the same layout. They should.
I can't get into it because Handsome made it her lair.
Meaning? Judge grimaces and turns the screen. Corey makes a loud gagging sound. The room is trashed, covered in garbage, and Corey can see a suspicious stain that looks like kavat vomit. Operator, please, Skyla cries. Do not show Tenno Corey the state of the orbiter. Skyla swears that Skyla, the operator, knew about this room and left it to the kavat. Please, operator, do not punish Skyla with this humiliation. The screen turns back to facing Judge.
Skyla thought I knew about this room and willingly chose to sleep on the floor,
Judge says, completely deadpan.
Skyla, I'm not punishing you for not telling me. Calm down.
Well, at least your ship didn't tell you out of a harmless assumption, Corey says. Ordis, why don't you tell Judge why you didn't tell me there was a bedroom on this ship? Judge's eyebrows raise in anticipation. Ordis does not disappoint. In a very prim, proud, and deeply amused voice, Ordis replies, Ordis believes that the operator looks very sweet when sleeping curled up on the main floors. He thought back pain was cute, Judge, Corey says. He thought it was cute. Judge's mouth crumples into a strange line.
She's not wrong.
Judge. Corey turns her head to give him the full strength of her gaze. Not you too.
But you do look really cute,
Judge says, a wry twist to his lips.
You tuck yourself up real small with your hands at your face, and it's...
Corey rolls over away from the screen, causing the plague to whine, roll over, and squeeze against Corey's back, paws kneading at her shoulders, claws catching on the suit. Joy flicks her tail and adjusts accordingly.
Don't sulk.
I'm not sulking. I'm just thinking about how I'm surrounded in terrible turncoats.
What's a turncoat?
Corey blinks. I think it means traitor. Some sort of old Earth expression.
Oh, I'm not a traitor. I'm just saying that maybe Ordis has a point.
That's exactly what makes you a traitor.
Well, at least Ordis didn't let you anything into your room to mess it up. I don't even know if I can salvage this room or if it's lost forever to Handsome.
I love that chapter. Obviously, this takes place right before the Apostasy Prologue, because that's when you unlock personal quarters. So prepare to have spoilers for the Apostasy Prologue. You're a wizard. Hayden's a wizard? Since when? Since when? And he turned evil. Hayden turned evil. Okay, evil wizard axolotl. We don't have beans in space, I suppose. There are no beans in space. You evolved into an axolotl, so you weren't always an axolotl. So you started off as a wizard, and the wizard went evil, and then you turned into an axolotl. Got you. And you remembered the friends and turned good again. Eyes scooping yanderes. What a great way of describing something. The Empress? Who's the Empress? Oh, me! I'm the Empress. I was thinking in the terms of, like, the book, because there's a character called the Empress, who actually, I thought we had already come across her, but I was mistaken. We haven't met her yet. We've only heard rumors of her. I got confused. Too many people called the Empress. Freya. Oh. Wait. You fell in love with Freya. I thought you were in love with the girl from Stardew Valley. Is that Freya? Is that someone else? Are you cheating on the Stardew Valley girl? Hayden, what is this? Bum 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 bum. Oh, this is this big, long, epic, dramatic thing. Arriving on a beach, the sunset shining behind him. Dramatic. Army of raccoons. Amazing. The Bean crew. You'll never forget them. Oh, goodbye, Jacob. Have a wonderful evening. See you around. See you around. Thank you for stopping by. Always lovely to have you guys join us. Ah, Hayden's backtracking now. He's backtracking. Dun dun dun. Alright. Let me cue up the next chapter. I can just imagine Hayden typing up a big old paragraph. Abigail and I could never be, but Freya was there. Who is this Freya? How you would cheat on poor Abigail with this unknown entity? Imagine how Abigail must be feeling. You gave her presents. You gave her presents. You led her on. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. I would love to read it. If you're not comfortable posting it in chat, you could always DM it to me via other methods. I don't know, Twitter, Twitch, Discord, all that good stuff. But yeah, if you don't mind typing it in chat, I would definitely be interested in it. Can't guarantee I'll be able to read it soon-ish, but I will definitely put it on my list of stuff to read. Your days with her are over. You broke up with her, Hayden. You broke her little pixelated heart. Her little 8-bit heart. Anyway, I'm just trying to make you feel bad. It's okay, you're probably cool. Some things just aren't meant to be. Alright, let me jump into the next chapter. Alright. Okay, yeah, like I said, Apostasy Prologue spoilers ahead. This chapter is going to spoil the Apostasy Prologue. A coffee shop. Oh no, he's got the coffee shop AU romance going on. Chapter 45. Again, Corey demands, staring into the Lotus's mask. Tell me again. Judge paces in front of her, glad for once for the confines of his orbiter. The darkness and the contract of blue and black. Somehow it seems grounding, tangible, real.
I told you, Corey.
Judge says, because he has. At least half a dozen times now he's told her the details of it.
He called her Margulis. She took his hand. They left together. There was nothing else I could find there. It was him, Corey. She said it was Ballas.
Ballas is dead, Corey says, staring into what was once the face they assigned to the Lotus. We killed him. The Sarens killed him, Judge hears. He remembers it. Each of them beautiful and blinding white and golden as they turned and cast their poison back onto their maker, their master.
The Orkin had access to technology we're still trying to uncover and bring back, Judge reminds her. The Grineer have a rather failed cloning process. Is it so unbelievable that the Orkin had a more sustainable one? And remember the Queens? The Orkin could take over bodies too. It makes sense. Remember? The Lotus was once a sentient. She could have taken over Margulis. It's not unfeasible. Ballas and Margulis could still linger. We did, after all.
Corey shakes her head, voice sharp. No, that doesn't work. The Queens had a sharp decay. It changed them, twisted them, and the cloning process doesn't account for memories. Ballas couldn't have survived. His mind would have been gone.
Warden Karras,
Judge says. It's not meant to be unkind. Corey's mouth pulls down tight.
Cephalon Samaris, Cephalon Suda,
Judge continues to try to soften the initial blow.
My own Cephalon, most likely, though we don't know who she was before. Though we might never know.
He wouldn't. The process of creating a Cephalon would...
He doesn't have to create a Cephalon with his brain scan, Judge says. He could just have backups of his memories.
You can't clone a soul.
I'm not talking about a soul.
You're talking about a ghost, Corey says. For all we know, it's just advanced void poisoning. Corey definitely says that to be unkind. Judge takes the blow. She's given him a foundation to stand on. He likes to think she knows better than to think that something like that could knock it away.
Then why was this there? Why was there a room that was Lotus-themed with the exact same ports? Why?
Judge challenges, and Corey hunches her shoulders, eyes squeezing shut against a truth that neither of them saw coming. Judge admits that he's never fully trusted the Lotus. He's always found her suspicious. She's always there in the center of things, like a spider. He still doesn't know if the Tenno are meant to be her web or the things caught in it. He's never trusted her fully, but this is something he never even could have considered. Corey doesn't trust many people, but she trusted the Lotus. Corey might not have particularly liked the Lotus's attempts at being maternal, but Judge thinks that Corey did appreciate the company during the long silences between stars and dreams. Judge thinks that the Lotus might not have taken the coveted space of mother in Corey's mind, but maybe something just as important to her.
When the Lotus was Nata, she was meant to become our watcher, our guide, our handler,
Judge says, leaning against his mod station, arms crossed as he stares at the foundry. Corey sits on the ramp leading up to his observation deck, the Lotus's face held between her hands as she tries to find a way out of this truth. It is unlike her, Judge thinks, to try and desperately avoid something this blatant, and it's strange to be the one having to make someone awake and aware.
We don't know what happened to Margulis's body. For all we know, that was it. Or maybe the sentients also had cloning technology. If they wanted someone to handle the Tenno, it would make sense to craft her form into something familiar to us, similar to Margulis, our only champion among the Orkin, an almost maternal figure.
No, Corey shakes her head, neck bowed, pink hair falling as she rests her head against the front of what used to be the Lotus's mask.
Perhaps there were some memory fragments of Margulis floating around. They did that as punishment sometimes, like with Karras.
Stop, Corey says, voice shaking. Why do you want this to be true so badly? Why can't it just be something else?
Why does it have to be this? Why do you want this?
Judge stares at her, confused by this sudden...
I don't want it to be that, but right now that's what it looks like,
Judge says.
Corey, these are the facts, and I'm just trying to make Malice real again?
Corey snaps abruptly and violently throwing down the Lotus's mask. It clatters over the orbiter floor, bouncing and then rolling away. Corey stands up, fists clenched, face twisted with anger. To bring back Margulis? To turn the Lotus into a traitor against us? No, I don't believe it. There was something you missed. Maybe it was an illusion like that one time in the derelict with the clones? Or maybe it was void poisoning, made more intense by being on Lua, surrounded in dreamers. I don't know, but it can't be ghosts. Corey, Judge starts, standing up straight, arms falling to his side as Corey's fists begin to glow golden.
Corey,
it's not Malice, Corey says, voice cracking like rock, like a dry branch, like bone. It's not Malice, Judge. I don't care what you saw. It wasn't Malice.
Why can't it be Malice?
Judge replies, feeling the buzz of his own void energy gathering around him as the taste of Corey's fills the air, a wave of pressure that Judge pushes back with his own.
Out of all the impossible things we've seen and done and learned of, why is this the one that pushes you over?
Because if it's Malice, then I'm the one who brought him back, Corey snaps, the final seam, and then Corey starts to cry. For a little bit of context, for people who have not done the Apostasy Prologue, you might be a little confused by that chapter. So, Judge goes to Lua, and while he's on Lua, he finds a hidden room underneath the dreamer pods, and the Lotus is there. And Ballas approaches the Lotus. He calls her Margulis. Lotus says something along the lines of, I'm not who you think I am. And he's like, nah, Margulis, you're coming with me. He takes off Lotus's helmet, and the two of them walk together into a portal. Later, what Judge and Corey don't know is that Lotus is a mimic. We knew she was a sentient up until this point, but we didn't know she was a mimic. We didn't know mimics exist. Ballas, for context, Ballas and Corey have a deep history. A lot of this is speculation. There are a lot of theorizings going on about the Lotus and Margulis. Some people think when the Margulis might have been glassed and the Lotus found the glass of Margulis. A lot of people think maybe the Lotus absorbed Margulis before she got sent to the Jade Light. There's a lot of Lotus Margulis crossover theories that were around even before the Apostasy Prologue came out, and Ballas calling the Lotus Margulis helped cement some of those. But there's a lot of stuff that Corey and Judge don't know, because at the point when the story was written, this stuff hadn't been introduced yet. Like the Ropa Lolist battle, where the Lotus gives a lot of information about her past, about her existence on Lua. A lot of that hadn't come out yet, so we didn't know a lot of the stuff that we do nowadays. So Corey and Judge are just as confused as the Tenno who saw the Apostasy Prologue and had to wait 3 years or something for the next installment in the story. So yeah, they're theorizing. I don't know why I had to give that explanation. There you go. Just a little bit of context for that scene. But yeah, Corey and Ballas have a lot of backstory together. Yeah. Let me scroll up. Giorno Giovanna, hello. Welcome. Have I seen Bucciarati? I don't know how to pronounce that. I have not. What is it? Is it a show? Another VTuber? Something along those lines? I don't know. It was But welcome to the stream. Let me scroll down. Guy from the Girlfriend ASMR. Oh! Oh, okay. A fellow stream enthusiast, I see. Ah, you're telling the backstory of Freya. Got you, got you, got you. I'm just reading these paragraphs of backstory. It's interesting. Alright, cool. Okay, the fanfic name. Let me... Which website? It's Wattpad. Okay, Wattpad. Wattpad? I don't know how to pronounce this. Wattpad. Dude, I have actually not read anything on Wattpad before. I've only ever read stuff on Archive of Our Own and... Archive of Our Own and fanfiction.net and... What was that other website called? It was Fimfic.org.net. I don't know. Ah, by Crazy Max 1. I think I found it. Yeah, it's got a whole bunch of reads. Yeah, let me read the premise. Cool. Yeah, I'll read it at some point. Probably not this week, but I'll read it. Don't you worry. I will read it. Cool beans. You write it on your phone using the app that they have. Ah, cool. Personally, I've always preferred writing on a computer, but I think writing on a phone is really convenient because you can do it just whenever. You just pull it out of your pocket and keep writing. So it's good for like when you're, I don't know, waiting in line somewhere or have an idea and you need to write it down before you forget it. Like, I can really appreciate that. But like, personally, I always am most productive when I'm at a keyboard. That's just me though. Yeah, Axolotl Boy has surprisingly deep lore. I would have never thunk it. You don't know what I'm talking about though? Still having fun. Alright. Let me show you. Ballast from Warframe. Here we go. I can explain stuff. If you guys have questions, oh, good old Ballast. Good old Ballast. Everybody hates him. Everybody loves to hate him. So, this is Ballast. Actually, you know what? Let's just watch the Apostasy Prologue. You guys want to watch the Apostasy Prologue? Let's do that. It's like 2 minutes long. Let's do that. Just to give you guys context. Apostasy Prologue. Alright, so spoilers for... Super spoilers for... Let me see. I'm just...
Hello everyone, my name is Sunray,
yes.
and this is the Apostasy Prologue.
My daughters, my sons.
Alright, here we go. Where should I start? Should we start at the cutscene? No, let's start when he falls into the thing. Alright, here we go. I know you guys can't see it. Give me a second. Ah, got you. The deep axolotl lore. Do you guys want to see the Apostasy Prologue, or do you want me to just keep reading? It's a short video. It's like, how many minutes? 5 minutes. It's like a 5-minute video. I don't know if you guys want to see it or not. Meh. Will it help explain stuff? I'm mainly asking Hayden, I guess. Let's see. Hayden and Jeff are here. I think it's just Hayden and Jeff at this point. Do you two want to watch it? If you don't, that's cool. We can just keep on reading, because I'm ready to start the next chapter. I'll give a minute, because I know YouTube has a delay. So, let me think. Warframe. Yeah. Warframe's, I love the thing that the Apostasy Prologue starts. Like the Chimera Prologue. Oh, I love that quest. The Chimera Prologue. It's super short, but it's super cool. And I wish I could replay it. Maybe they added a replayable bit. It might help. Okay, cool. It will also be confusing because you haven't... So Warframe has a series of quests. You got the Second Dream. You got the War Within. And you got... Then you got the Apostasy Prologue and then the Chimera Prologue, and then you got all the Ropalolis battle, and then you got the New War cinematic. So it's got this big long cutscene. So basically, the backstory for what you need to know is the Lotus is everyone calls her Space Mom. Everybody knows the Lotus. She is the person who gives you your missions. She's the first person who speaks to you after you wake up from cryostasis. She is the person who gives you your missions. She is the ruler of your world, pretty much. She is your guider. She is your space mom. She guides you through everything. And Ballas is an Orcan that he was present in background lore before this point, but this is his first time appearing in the main storyline. He is part of the race that was exterminated by the Tenno in the past. So, let's get this set up. It's gonna be like a couple seconds. Give me 1 second. We need to go to Firefox Apostasy Prologue. There we go. Cool beans. The story was lost to me long ago and it will always be lost to me. It's fine, it's fine. This will give you, this is what just happened in the story. Okay. So, up until this point, all of this stuff right here, there was dialogue going on between Ballas and Margulis. I'm skipping it because it's not super relevant. It's flashbacks. These are echoes of what happened in the past between Ballas and Margulis. So Ballas and Margulis were... They were a couple, and then Margulis was sent to the Jade Light. She was executed for her compassion with the Tenno. And Ballas...
We have gathered here today to
Yeah.
carry out the sentencing of Archimedean Margulis. You face the Jade Light. Recant, and we will grant a merciful
And
death.
Ballas had to be the one to execute his beloved.
My daughters, my sons, I want you to know my last thoughts are of you.
So you hear Ballas and Margulis talking on your way to this quest, and then you enter into this secret underground room under Lua, under your somatic pod, and then you see the Lotus. So up until this point, we have not seen the Lotus's hiding spot. We've only ever seen her in transmissions. We've never seen her in the flesh. Oh, actually we have. But she was on our orbiter. We've never known where she was this whole time.
How long have we waited for this moment?
Forgive me.
There he is, the king of all jerks.
For what? I am not who you think I am.
But of course you are. Imprisoned just as she was.
All this stuff is actually really important, and you find out later how important it is, but it's like, in the
I will not
moment,
abandon you again, Margulis.
in the moment, you don't really get what's going on. Dramatic. That was this creepy huge hand. And then they teleport away, they nope out. Lotus completely ignores you and just goes for Ballas. Oh, my background music is still on. Oh well. So in the storyline of the fanfic, this is Judge. So Judge comes up and finds the helmet. And then he tells Corey what he saw. And then Corey's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it was Ballas. There's no way it was Ballas. And there you go. The Apostasy Prologue. So yeah, it'll play with your customized operator and all that stuff. So your character will show in the cutscene. But yeah, there you just happened. So they're just trying to make sense of it. How is Ballas still alive? Why would the Lotus go with him? Why did he call her Margulis when Margulis is clearly dead? You know, all that good stuff. Okay. Yeah, it's like the middle of a storyline, so it's obviously confusing. more stuff happens, and when we get to the more stuff, I'll play the cutscenes for them. Yay! You're in the middle of playing with one hand and typing it on the phone. Alright, got you. Yeah. Feel free. Alright, cool. Sorry, I didn't mean for you to almost die. Go ahead and do what you want. Yeah, but there you go. That was the Apostasy Prologue. Yeah. So this was basically a big deal to the players' base when it came out because the Lotus abandoned you. Like, the person who guided you and was your space mom. Space mom left. Space mom left with creepy space uncle. Creepy space uncle Ballas. And yeah, everyone was very upset that she abandoned us for him. But there's a lot more behind it that I'll get into when we get to it in the chapters, when it gets addressed in the chapters, because it will come up later, I promise. Yeah, thing is, after that cutscene came out, we had to wait a long time for the next story missions, so we just had to figure it out. You want a fanfic about Undertale and what would happen if Toriel killed Frisk in their battle in the ruins? Probably monsters would have stayed underground, they would become super overpopulated, there probably would have been a lot of death. Stuff like that. I don't know. The game you're playing has RNG in it? Most games tend to. Warframe has a lot of RNG, I can tell you that much. Probably a time skip where she is depressed and the next fallen child has to somehow get through and now everything is darker because they've been here longer. Probably. Interesting. It would be really cool. There's a lot of really neat Undertale fanfics out there. Alright. Anyway. Whoopsies. Accidentally pushed play. Let's go back to the story. Hope that helped to clear stuff up, because the next... Because that's going to come up again later. They're going to discuss the Lotus again. Alright, anyway. Chapter 46. There is only one thing that comes to mind when Judge sees how Corey's redesigned her ember frame, and that's... spicy honey, Judge says as he watches, as if they are in slow motion as Corey approaches them. Punk and Sheik's lines break out into peals of laughter, and Judge feels his heart hammer in his chest, mouth dry and palms sweaty. Mesa channels this distinct and strange new discomfort that's hit him very suddenly by shifting their weight on their feet and warming up their guns. Judge isn't sure if he wants to turn around and run, or if he wants to let Corey wash over him like the inevitable. I thought you said we don't eat spicy honey, Punk says, and Judge hears Sheik hit him upside the head. They're too young for that, doofus. He just thinks she's really pretty. Can you blame him? Perfection. Persephone, you've done it again. If only 1/4 of the Tanos still alive had your taste, I swear it would make the galaxy a brighter place. Thanks, Corey says, running fine-tipped fingers down the back of Judge's Kubra. Can we get to work now? Spicy honey, Judge repeats, dumbstruck. Corey ignores him in favor of giving Midas a scratch underneath his huge jaws and telling Midas that he's a beautiful and dangerous boy who's going to have a riot of a time, ripping corpus apart limb from limb. Spicy honey. Spicy chicken, more like, Punk says. I'll really need to look into getting that ember design. I mean, that mullet, is it on fire? It's not a mullet, Corey says, and then quietly, turning towards Sheik. Which one is a mullet? Wait, chickens are the ones that come from dinosaurs, right? Whatever it is, if you have it, you're making it work, and I approve entirely, Sheik says. Looking good, Persephone. There was an incident about 2 or so weeks back in which they were at a Grineer weapons factory, and the 4 of them had found a very large room where the Grineer were melting down scrap and various metals to create new things. As everyone else in the facility was either dead or dying, they felt that they could explore without any pressing urgency. If any alarm beacons went out, it would still take maybe 2 or so hours for assistance to reach. The 4 of them watched the machines go on without any minders, for the moment, wonderfully autonomous and self-driven. Hey, Punk had said, gesturing out at the orange-gold liquid metal. You know, that kind of looks like stuff from plants. The sticky parts that are under the bark. Or the thing that comes from
What are they called? Bees?
Honey, Judge had supplied. He remembered that the heat was uncomfortable to him in his harrow.
They have whole jars of it on Cetus. It's used to make things sweet.
I've had some before, Corey had said. She did not clarify when.
I like it. It's harvested from bees. Something to do with flowers, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's bee food, Sheik confirmed. Some of the other settlements have bee colonies on their ships. They're super rare off-planet, though, and really valuable. Liquid gold. 1 ampule can cost up to 100,000 credits. I've seen it go for higher among more disparate crowds. Some people trade in it, and they do really well.
That's really amazing.
Judge shook his head.
But it's just flavoring. Blue or red flavor works fine.
Green flavor, Corey murmured under her breath. Punk stepped out of his warframe and approached, uncaring of the heat, and then he turned to them, pointing at the metal, and said,
That's spicy honey.
No, Sheik had said, also stepping out of her warframe and snatching Punk's hand and smacking him upside the head. You are not eating molten metal just because you think it looks like spicy honey. Judge had just finished rolling his eyes when Corey had stepped forward in her warframe, then Nidus, and tilted her head. And then suddenly, Nidus's head expanded and unfolded into its many, many slightly disturbing parts, and she said, Spicy honey. Punk beamed and twisted his wrist out of Sheik's grip, stepping closer to Corey as the two started to chant, Spicy honey! No, Judge and Sheik had said, dragging their counterparts away as the two cackled. Later, Judge had asked Corey again,
Are you sure the two of you aren't friends?
No, Corey had said firmly, and then paused, eyes flicking upward as she frowns.
Allies?
Allies, yeah. Allies, probably.
Are you just bonding over things you might possibly ingest but shouldn't?
Corey shrugged. I still don't know what he means by peppery. Judge starts and stops repeatedly as he trails behind Corey, staring at the back of her head. There is indeed a very small flame resting at the top of a curl of gold.
Your actual spicy honey.
Corey's silence is so pointed that Judge can physically feel it digging into his ribs. Corey's Helios flashes at him, blinking its lights before going over to bother Sheik's death cube by scanning the thing directly in its optic sensor a few dozen times over until Death Cube tries to shoot it. That's a compliment, Sheik says, an aura of deliciousness and untouchable temptation.
I don't want to be delicious, Corey says flatly. That's cannibalism.
Not that kind of delicious, Punk says. I know that we're all aging at different rates and stuff, but seriously? Let them continue on this path of innocence, Sheik says. I want to see how this plays out naturally. Meanwhile, Judge has somewhat caught up to Corey and is considering if he should try and touch Ember's shoulder. Will he burst into fire? He's never burst into fire just by touching her before, but for some reason he thinks he would now.
I like it, Judge manages to say. You look
like spicy honey, Corey says, the faintest curl to the synthetic voice she's using, tipping him off to her deep amusement. I get it. Thanks. I think.
Pretty,
Judge says. It sounds lame even to his own ears.
You look pretty, Corey.
Ember actually pauses and turns to look at Mesa for that, and then slowly looks Judge's Mesa up and down before shrugging. You're pretty too, I guess.
Sheik, please! They're so bad at this, Punk groans. Can't we just give them a hint?
No, they're babies, Sheik says, in all the ways that don't matter. Let them have this. Oh, there's a lot of... Whoa, what's going on here? Danger Boy. Is that the same message pasted like 5 trillion times? Uh-oh, Oh, you're gonna head out? No, wait, or no, you're just getting sleepy. Well, if it's almost midnight, definitely take care of yourself. If you have to go to sleep, you don't feel obligated to stay up and listen. You gotta sleep, you gotta sleep. Let me plug this into Google Translate real fast. What is this? What? This is nonsense. I don't know what this means. I don't understand this comment. Is this spam? Should I delete it? I don't know what's going on. Good night, Hayden. Good night, good night. Have a wonderful evening. Bedtime story is perfect for sleeping. Hey, that's the idea. That's the idea. You just fall asleep. That was my impression of snoring. I don't know how to snore. It probably sounds much more horrific, like or something. I don't know. Anyway. Anyway. Let's move on. Oh, let me move the chat back so I can actually read it. Here we go. Chapter 47. Judge has long grown used to his hallucinations. He has not made peace with it, this void poisoning. He doesn't think he ever will. Whenever he thinks that it is a possibility, his hallucinations, his illusions change. They change strategies, they change faces, they adapt. Such is the danger of a person's own mind, he guesses. They still catch him by surprise, sliding into his reality, into his dreams, into his consciousness seamlessly. You can't tell when they enter, when they leave. It's like dreaming, but somehow worse and more intimate, more insidious. If he were to tell Corey this, she would say that it doesn't sound like he's gotten used to them at all. But he has. He no longer denies them now. He no longer reacts with the same level of unmitigated fear. They can be stopped. Judge can learn. There are tools at his disposal to help him discern what is real and what isn't. He's learning them. He's adapting, changing too. His mind will not always be the ruin of him. He'll figure his way out of it eventually. There is no one to stop him from himself. Except yourself, the hallucination muses, tucked into the corner of his ship, just in the periphery of Judge's vision. He does not turn or acknowledge it. It is a figment. It is fake. He is the real Judge. He is the real one, and he is the one in control. Consider this, the hallucination continues. Have you considered that there is no one to save you from yourself? That you're so hopelessly destructive, that you are your own cycle of destruction without rebirth? You can't continuously destroy something and not run out of things to destroy. Everything you touch, Judge, the hallucination says, become vulnerable to your contagion. Think about it, seriously. Everywhere you go, there's something you ruin. Is that innate? Genetic? Or are you really just that miserable? Don't make that face. If you make that face, people will start to pity you, and then they'll get struck by your bad luck. Judge focuses on his hands. He can feel them. The foundry console is warm, vibrating as it works away at creating new ciphers. He can feel it in his fingertips, down to his bones. If Judge presses his body against the front of the foundry, he will feel the heat it gives off through his suit. If Judge flexes his toes, he will feel resistance from his boots. He will feel the texture of his boots against the smooth orbiter floor, resisting. Traction. These are not things you can feel if you are dreaming, if you are false. How happy Persephone was without you with her, the hallucination says. Judge can taste the flavor of the bright blue candy Corey gave him, the residual at the back of his tongue. Corey had laughed. Your tongue is blue. Maybe his tongue is blue right now. You are the one who dragged her out of that Warframe. You are the one who brings her anxiety, the hallucination says. She fixes everything for you. Wherever you go, she follows right after to make things right, to fix your mistakes, to make it better. People think that you're the smart one, the clever one, the detective. And maybe you are, but you aren't the one who fixes things. You just present the problem, make it worse. You aggravate the wound until it can't be left alone. And then she comes in, your
precious spring.
The judge bites his tongue and turns away to head towards his arsenal. He needs to adjust the mods on his Ash. He's not hitting the speed he needs, although he's pretty durable right now. He might have to switch out some of that stability for more speed, or at least more maneuverability.
You dragged her out of that Warframe, and you made her afraid. Who has ever known Spring to be afraid? You put her under the Grineer Queens. You made her face a Dax. You brought her to the Kuva. What else have you done to her, Judge?
The hallucination is close now, a shifting presence at the back of Judge's neck.
You've made her face her own mind in the derelict. You made her face Orden Karis and the possibility of her own complicit participation in the enslavement of another. You forced her open to others. If she fixes everything for you, who fixes things for her? After winter comes spring. But then what? What about a hard frost that comes right after that? Who fixes her then, Judge?
Corey doesn't need fixing. Corey would spit fire in the face of anyone who would suggest such a thing. Corey is a person, a soul unto herself. She decides what she is, who she is. Corey and Corey alone, and no one has any say in that unless she permits it by her own good graces. Judge knows this is the hard way.
Who fixes her after you're done with her, Judge?
The hallucination's voice is so close that Judge almost imagines the short hairs on the back of his neck raising.
Where is she right now? It's been quiet. You haven't seen her since... Ah, right. You haven't seen her since then. You haven't spoken to her since you upset her enough to send her away to the void. Yes, she made it seem as though it was all right, but how do you know? Spring hides many secrets.
Judge feels his chest compressing, squeezing shut. If you ignore it, it isn't there, Judge thinks to himself. Acknowledging the hallucination just gives it power. But aren't I already acknowledging it just by thinking about it? Listening? Judge breathes out slowly, presses his palms against his Ash's forearm as he moves the frame to adjust the angle of one of his dagger holsters.
She's been quiet. Not a single hail or message. The void is a dangerous place, and she went alone. Remember what she did with her Cephalon? She would have died and not let you do a single thing. Where is she now, Judge?
Corey is on her ship. Corey is on her ship, and she is quiet. Corey's been quiet before. Corey is naturally quiet unless you engage her. Corey has been quiet for 6 hours. It's the middle of a day cycle.
Skyla, hail Cephalon Ordis on Persephone's ship,
Judge says softly. The hallucination laughs. I'm sorry, operator, Skyla says. Communications are silenced. I cannot patch through. I am rerouted automatically. Judge's hands curl into fists. There could be explanations for this that don't automatically go to Corey being dead or injured.
Is Corey's signal still from her ship? Has she deployed?
There's no record of Tenno Corey deploying within the last 3 hours, operator, Skyla says. Nor are there any alerts from the Lotus in Tenno Corey's area. Would the operator like to travel to Tenno Corey's current location? Yes, Judge thinks, and Skyla is already moving. The hallucination laughs.
Winter come spring, come winter. What do you not touch that you do not ruin?
It was in Japanese and you'll translate it? Oh yeah, I pasted it into Google Translate and it didn't make any sense to me. Yeah, that's the translation that I got too. It's so confusing. A car game, I guess? Maybe? They didn't give a game title though. It was really weird. I don't know. Anyway. Hope I did that justice. Let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 48. Something in Corey has changed. Shifted. Corey stands stiff at his side. The material of her new suit looks hard and unforgiving. The colors of it are harsher. They match her sarin, her mirage, her titania, her ember. Corey's transference suits before were soft, pink and black, and with white and gold. The material flowed. It was malleable, bending, calm. Corey's new suit is white and black, with vibrant red and gold. It looks intimidating, hard and aggressive. It brushes against the memory of the Orokin and what it was like to live then, there, as a weapon. She looks good. There's no denying that Corey is beautiful, no matter what she shows up in. Judge has seen her in sweat-stained underclothes flecked in paint and biomatter and still thought she looked amazing. But this is different. This is unsettling. Judge has trouble reconciling that Corey with the current one. The Corey that looks ready to take orders and deploy with a regiment of fellow Sarens. He considers, perhaps, having kept Ballas a secret. He considers that maybe he should have lied to her about the Lotus's disappearance. But Corey has never liked lies, and she would have found out eventually. And Corey could always see through him with uncanny accuracy. He's not sure if it's just a her and him thing, or if it's because he's that transparent.
Corey,
Judge whispers as Corey slowly stretches her wrist, adjusting her amp.
Corey?
Corey doesn't acknowledge him, but she doesn't return to her ember frame either. Her eyes glow in the dark night. They glow gold. If she held still and he held her eyes with his, he could see the ring of blue-green. But like this, there are only glimmers of golden yellow in the dark shadows of her face. One of those dark shadows could be vaguely considered as the ring of ivy around her right eye.
Are you...
Judge starts and stops. There's no way to really say it.
Am I alright?
Corey finishes for him.
No, Judge, I'm not.
Judge presses his lips together. He's never seen Corey so rattled, so affected by anything. Their parents were mutating and murdering before their eyes. They were stuck with needles and metal rods and imprisoned behind concrete and steel. They were launched into wars, and he's never had a memory of her reacting like this. Ortikaris was different. Judge is used to Corey's emotional outbursts. He prefers them. They're part of Corey's working process. He's never seen Corey react to something by shutting down entirely. By shutting her emotions down entirely. Corey, he says, but she flicks her amp, gold transferring to blue as she spreads her weight on her feet and focuses forward. There's 2 more approaching from the south. You get those, I'll get these, Corey says, and then she's a golden wisp that's vanished into her ember, and her ember is a crimson streak through the night, chasing after white blue. Judge takes care of the eidolon fragments that were south of them. He goes back to where Corey left him, and he sees her standing on a rock formation. Ember is at the base of the rocks, the faintest suggestion of red that flickers in the night, like glowflies, but somehow more sinister for their color. Corey herself stands at the top of the rocks. Judge leaves his titania next to Corey's ember and climbs up the rocks. It feels strange and good to feel grit underneath his fingers, to feel the texture of it against his boots. Judge stands next to her and behind her as they survey the plains. The eidolon is far off, but they can see the faint glow of its blue light from here. Judge hopes it terrorizes some Grineer. The fragments of the moon cast strange shadows on the ground, and the water glows with radiation.
Are we going to talk,
Judge whispers,
or are we going to continue to ignore this?
Corey's short hair looks gray in this light, silver. Corey had summarily left his ship after her explosion, and she hasn't talked to him about it since. He's tried bringing it up. What did she mean? But Corey's been determinedly changing the subject, or otherwise remaining completely silent. It's very unlike her, and he finds it equally frustrating as it is concerning. Ballas had to come from me, Corey says, turning her head slightly so he can see the faintest glitter of her eyes before she turns forward again. There's no other way it could have happened, Judge. I did this.
Explain it to me, Judge says. Talk it out.
Ballas couldn't have latched on to you. Not from the start, Corey says. You never knew him. Never interacted with him. So how did Ballas's ghost signature get to the Lotus? It followed you, Judge. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt it somehow was the Lotus, and you and him. But how did he follow you? How did he find you to start with? Corey turns towards him. Did you ever work under him that you can remember?
No, Judge says, shaking his head. I was always in the asteroid. After the initial testing, I mean. Until they put us in the orbiters. The only time I ever saw him is when they had us assemble. And that was always from afar. And then, I think the last time was...
When we killed him, Corey says, nodding. I thought so. She turns back towards the plains. Ballas was in our ears all day, every day. And if it wasn't him, it was a recording of him, or something recorded by him, or it was something written by him to be passed on to us, Corey says. I don't find it unreasonable or hard to believe that maybe, just maybe, he figured out how to attach part of himself to us, like ghosts.
Then it could have been any Tenno who served under him. He had full squadrons, Judge said. There's no evidence suggesting it was you.
There is, Corey says. What other Tenno who served directly under Ballas interacts with you almost daily? And tell me, what other Tenno do we know has a cephalon that was personally transformed, chosen, and modified by Ballas himself? Corey's fists close slowly and release quickly. Ortis admits they altered his personality, programmed in Watchers. They programmed in lots of little things to keep him from restoring himself fully, from reverting. It's only thanks to time that they degraded enough for him to become who he is today. Ballas could have easily put a fragment of himself into Ortis's programming to fester.
And wouldn't that have degraded?
Maybe it didn't need to degrade, Corey says. Maybe it just needed to leave.
Do you think it entered the weave between cephalons?
I think that our ships have been in close proximity for years, and there have been plenty of opportunities for transfers between one host program and another, Corey says. And I think that between the two of us, you were always more likely to physically show yourself before the Lotus. I trusted her. I trusted her and her directives. I had no reason to ever seek her out. You did. You still do. Judge swallows and shakes his head.
It's too much of a long shot, Corey. There are too many holes in this.
But there's enough of it to hold water, Corey says. I'll never escape him, Judge. He'll always be there. A parasite that refuses to die. Or maybe some sort of parasite that incubates until the time is right to rise again. I don't know. I just want him out of me.
He is, Judge says. Corey, you've always been your own. He never had you.
Corey is silent and pale and colored wrong by the light of the moon. He always wanted us soft and beautiful, Corey says. I like the color red because it's not his color. It wasn't elegant enough for him. It was a common color. It was a flesh color. It was a hard color. It was a color that screamed of attention. It was the first color I could think of for myself afterwards, after the war and the long sleep. Corey turns her head down and runs her hands over the sash at her waist. But I can't ever escape the fact that he made me, made us what we are. Everything I've ever done has been either based on what he taught me or a reaction to trying to avoid what he taught me. Corey's sigh is harsh and tinged with a laugh. Judge, if the Lotus and Margulis were meant to be our mothers, does that make Ballas my father? Judge can't help it when he moves forward and seizes her by the elbow, turning her to face him as he crushes her into a hug. Corey's fists are hard against his back as she clings to him, breath shaking and silent in her chest. He can't tell if she is laughing or crying or choking on a scream. Jam. Jesse OJ10. Hi. You're still here. Hey. Phone call with your friends talking about classic cartoon shows. Hey, those are always fun. Those are always super fun. What's your favorite classic cartoon? Okay, so it's not a classic cartoon, but it's a cartoon I really enjoyed. It's Penguins of Madagascar. I loved that show as a kid. That was a great show. What's an older show? I liked Avatar: The Last Airbender, obviously. Yeah, my brain, I can't think of good stuff right off the bat. But, yeah, there's a lot of cool ones. Transitioning chapters. Oh, got you. Well, best of luck in writing your story. Hope it works out well. I really do. I'm excited to read it. Alright. Chapter 49. Oh, wait. So yeah. Backstory. So this is Corey and Judge reacting to the Apostasy Prologue still. Because Corey, yeah. It's still a reaction to the Apostasy Prologue. The original Scooby-Doo series, Inspector Gadget and some Transformers. Hey, that's another show. I really liked Transformers Animated. I know that's a lot more recent than the old Transformers. I did watch a bunch of old Transformers, but they were like, you know, whatever happened to be on at the moment. So I never saw them in chronological order, and I never saw them like one series at a time. I'd always like, you know, flip to the channel. Oh, hey, there's a Transformers on. What's the context for this? I have no idea, but it's Transformers. So I've probably seen a lot of different Transformers shows, but I just don't know which ones I've seen and which ones I haven't. Transformers are always cool. You really enjoy relaxing streams like this. Hey! Glad you're liking it. I try to make it relaxing. Alright. Yeah. That's all. Chapter 49. Corey is sitting on top of some rocks, Hejira sleeping at her back, considering the merits of going in and wiping out a Grineer encampment. It's that time of day where the fishing isn't good because of the reflection in certain areas of the many bodies of water, and because other Tenno have started to congregate there, and when she's too lazy to do anything else. Due to the lack of good fishing spots and lack of anything better to do, she's considering turning her eyes onto the Grineer. These Grineer also happen to be close to the water, and if she wants access to the water, she'll have to remove them anyway. But Corey is also considering the annoyance of having to deal with enemy patrols going back to this base and having to be on alert for them at all times to deal with them before they can call in reinforcements. She'd never get any fishing done like that. Corey's halfway made up her mind to just kill them to cause the Grineer some trouble when she senses another Tenno approaching. Corey turns and sees a black and gold Oberon silently making his way down the sloped hill straight towards the water. She wonders if the Oberon is going to go fishing, or if they're there for the Grineer, or maybe they're passing by. The Oberon stops, just shy of range of the enemy encampment, not yet spotted. Corey has her Saren zoom in on their opticals. The Oberon stands there for a long moment before raising a hand up and releasing this strange sound through its speakers. Corey can hear it from all the way over here. It sounds like a signal, or a siren. A synthetic, through Oberon's speakers and scrambler, whine, almost like a whistle. Hejira perks up against her back, sitting up. Corey turns and sees that Hejira's ears are pricked forward at attention. Corey turns back to the Oberon and almost recoils. There are at least a dozen Kubra around it, in all different sizes, different colors, and more are coming. Corey turns to scan the fields around them, and she sees signatures of fast-moving Kubra coming in hot to converge on the Oberon. No, wait. The Oberon raises a single elegant arm and extends one sharp-pointed finger towards the Grineer camp. The Grineer, who are well aware of their watcher now that they've made themselves so clearly obvious. The Kubro, the ones with the Oberon and the ones still coming in fast, charge. Corey now has the visuals on the heat signatures. Some of these are feral Kubro, which she didn't even know existed on the plains. And the Oberon, steady as the earth around the sun, strings a Paris Prime and starts to take aim. Corey watches, interested and slightly unnerved, as she watches this camp of Grineer swarmed by dogs and get ripped apart. She hears howling, barking, snarling, and the sounds of machine guns and Grineer death throes. Corey turns to Hejira, who looks extremely excited to see so many dogs at once. "Stay," Corey says to Hejira, who immediately plants her butt down on the ground, but still looks eager to join the fight. The Grineer do get air reinforcements. The Oberon shoots them straight out of the sky with a calm detachment. She doesn't think the Oberon is trying very hard. The way they string their bow is sort of lazy, as if it isn't worth the effort. The Oberon plucks them out of the sky, and the Kubra on the ground converge on the metal and flesh without any distinction between what they grab with their jaws. Corey can't even track a single bullet that gets close enough for the Oberon to try and deflect. Impressive. Corey turns from the dogs back to the Oberon. The Oberon slowly turns its head and looks back at her. Corey tenses, ready to leave. She doesn't think she'll be challenged to a duel out on the plains of Cetus just because she happened to be sitting and watching some Grineer, but some Tenno can be aggressive. The Oberon looks away from her and slowly continues its descent down to the encampment. The Kubro in batches go from running to the Oberon and circling it for pets and scratches, and back to the encampment, barking at corpses, nudging supply caches, digging and otherwise being the regular dogs. The feral ones linger around the edges. The Oberon waves a hand and they come close, bellies low to the ground, quickly passing their sides over the Oberon's navy skirts before running and disappearing into the long grasses. Cora senses one more heat signature, coming instead of leaving. She turns and sees a smaller Kubro running with a small eel in its jaws. It barrels straight into the Oberon's legs, bouncing back onto its butt and drops the fish. It barks, ears high and tongue lolling out. Corey laughs a little. The little Kubro has pretty much missed all combat, but he's got a fish, and he looks very proud of himself for it. The Oberon's head turns towards her, idly petting the pleased dog, and it tilts its head. Corey stops laughing. It couldn't have hurt her. Corey draws her legs up, ready to leave, but the Oberon raises a hand and beckons her over. Silence over all communication channels. Corey wonders if this Tenno is awake. They must be if they are on Cetus. She cautiously jumps down off her rock, Hajira following close behind as she draws closer to the former Grineer encampment, current Grineer death scene. She stops a few feet away from the Kubro furthest out. The Oberon pulls out a fishing spear and points at the water, and then at the Grineer. It then tilts its head. Corey also pulls out a fishing spear and repeats the same gestures. The Oberon nods, flicks its wrist, and the Kubro, or at least most of them, scatter. The Oberon then walks towards the water, lifting the spear over its shoulder, and waits. The small Kubro that arrived late trots after, eagerly looking into the water, tail wagging. Corey nudges Hajira, and the two of them take up a similar stance by the water a few yards away. This far away from each other, they shouldn't be interfering with each other's throws. She can still sense the heat signatures of the other Kubro. They seem to be pairing off and patrolling, or something like it. Follow, Corey says to Hajira, who barks and goes off into the plains. Plenty of warning now. The other Tenno doesn't try to talk to her or anything. It's like being with her own clan members, in that they'll sometimes sit in the same room, waiting for research to be completed, and staring at different spots on a wall in complete silence. It's companionable. Corey likes it. Companionable silence. No small talk. The only sounds are their spears and the water. Looks like she'll have enough fish for the cousins, too. Good thing about the story you're writing is that you know how to end it. It's all about figuring out how to get there. You've already gotten the key points of the story down in your head. Oh, maybe writing an outline might help. Like if you write like this, like plot points that you want to happen. Like, I want this to happen, and then later on, I want this to happen. I don't know how to get from here to here, but let's look at these points, add them all up, and see how I can get from this point to this point kind of thing. I don't know if that'll help. I don't know. I'm trying to give writing advice, but, take my advice with a grain of salt. Best of luck, best of luck. A pleasure to meet an aspiring author. That's always really exciting. Chapter 50. What time is it? We've been live for 2.5 hours. So I don't think we're getting to chapter 60. I spent too much time talking about fanfics. We still got a bit of time. We still got time. Alright, well, I should stop talking and start reading so that I'm not wasting more time. Chapter 50. So I'm going to try to aim for 55. I don't think I'm getting to 60. Let's aim for 55. Let's stop at 55 today. Chapter 50. Oh, right. Oh, I gotta do his voice. Cousins. The Oberon speakers whisper softly. Here. He points a black, sharp-tipped finger at something on a piece of paper, and the fisherwoman starts yelling at him, sounding both terrified and enraged. There's a lot of knife-wielding going on. Oh, Void, Punk groans, raising the volume on his speakers to be heard over her. I'm sorry. Alpha is so bad at this. He doesn't mean that he killed your cousins and left them in a pile of bloody parts on the plains. He means that there's fish here, you know, and for the cousins too. Corey watches this happening from where she is sitting on top of a building, Titania's narrow legs dangling off and resting on the top of the large rectangular tarps stretched between rooftops, and quietly pings Judge. Are you sure that this is the Alpha? Pumpkin Chic said he is, Judge says. I mean, you've seen him in action. He's definitely worthy of an article in front of his call sign. Yes, Corey says. She's even seen him in action before she knew who he is. Well, she's seen his many Kubro and Kavat in action. She just seen that he's really good with a bow and arrow. It's just, he's a little, you know what I'm saying. There is no word to describe Alpha's unique awkwardness that usually involves the spoken word. There isn't really anyone who understands him except for the Empress. Corey is still in complete and total awe that she's met the Empress. And not only has she met the Empress, but there's a possibility of future meetings with the Empress because, of course, Punk is one of the luckiest Tenno alive currently, and he's somehow gotten both the Alpha and Empress's good side, and the two visit him regularly. Or, well, as regularly as you can imagine, given the strange time and schedules all Tenno keep and constantly adjust due to interplanetary travel. Thus far, the Alpha only really communicates in 1 or 2 words, rarely a full sentence of more than 5, and it's all delivered in a whisper that maintains a completely emotionless monotone. Corey's not quite sure if that's some sort of filter he has installed or not. She wants to ask so she could get one installed for herself on all of her frames, but if it isn't, she doesn't want to offend. Usually, the Empress is around to translate all of Alpha's 1 or 2 word, and occasionally no words at all, communications, but at this particular moment, she's working on upgrading her amp. And Alpha, apparently, didn't want to wait for her to finish because he was, according to the Empress, very anxious about the state and condition of the fish he had left out in the plains because he couldn't carry it all back. It was, as the Empress told them, of the utmost importance that these fish be made known to the fisherwoman, for Alpha's peace of mind, and, of course, for the food stores of the people of Cetus. And then she left to go get her amp upgraded while the Alpha stood quietly waiting for someone to go with him. Corey is ready to go back to her ship, but Judge is in the middle of something with Anko. Something about information or lore or some question Judge wanted answered. Glass fish this, something that. Corey's sure that Judge is going to tell her later, along with 100 other theories and conspiracies that his mind conjures up for his peace of mind. Corey doesn't particularly like Anko's brusque familiarity, though she admits she likes him better than Teshin. Well, Corey likes most people better than Teshin. It's no offense to Teshin. No, it's a little offense to Teshin. Most of the reason why Corey doesn't like him is because of his familiar source material. Looking at him, hearing him is like seeing too many things too close, remembering, reliving things she would rather have left behind in the dark, in the complicated waste of her soul. Valis, herself, Margulis, the scientists, the gold and glitter and blood. The rest of it is purely natural Teshin personality. Corey leans back on the roof, looking up at the morning sky. This place could use some trees. Tall ones, like the ones at Everest. Corey prefers the other places on Earth infinitely better, even if there's no outposts like these there. Especially because there aren't any outposts like these. Maybe Corey could find some fish there. She hasn't tried fishing underwater. It shouldn't be too hard. Maybe it would even be easier since she could chase after the fish. She wonders if she could fish on Neptune. There are sharks on Neptune. Those have to eat something. There must be fish there. Unless, do sharks eat other sharks? That's something she needs to research. Maybe she could fit a shark onto her ship. A small one. A baby one. A pup. A pup shark. Juvenile sharks are called pups. Are they somehow related to dogs? Maybe dogs and sharks are evolutionary cousins. Another thing to research. For Corey's peace of mind. Who is saying this? Who is saying this? I think it's Judge. No, Punk. No, it's not Punk. It's not Alpha. It's Judge. Okay. Sorry.
I think Punk and the Alpha are almost done. Based on the lack of screaming, maybe you can find Cheek and we can head out again.
I want to go back to my ship, Corey says, but half-heartedly looks around for Sheik anyway. She stands up and jumps over the rooftops before landing on the outskirts of Cetus. Almost immediately, the Blight appears out of invisibility and looks up at her expectantly. Find the pink one. The Blight returns to stealth and goes off again. Corey leans against the side of a building and waits. Either the Blight finds Sheik or she doesn't, and eventually someone is going to find her. Corey would rather not have to go through the crowd. The sound and the people make Corey's skin crawl badly enough on Tenno-only outposts. It's worse here, with not Tenno. She misses the good days when it was just her and her ship. She's never getting that peace of mind back now. Hey, Jose! Welcome, Jose! Welcome to the stream. Managed to get your stream. You managed to catch a surprising amount of my streams. It makes me feel bad because I always seem to miss yours. But welcome. I know you really like playing that, what is that genre of game called? Strategy game? That's what they're called. A war strategy game. There's that one war strategy game that you really like that I always see you playing. But I don't catch them. I should probably get on that. But thanks for showing up. If you guys don't know, Jose's also another VTuber. You should totally check him out. He's really cool. Anyway. Yeah. Glad you could make it, my dude. Reading more stories. Reading more books. Relaxing. Bedtime stories. Except I'm not really reading them in a relaxing manner. I probably should. Oh well. Chapter 51.
I see that you're starting to like Rhino.
Judge muses as he shakes off the vibration of Corey's landing. You can still feel a faint buzzing in his teeth. I'm learning the appeal, Corey says, slowly standing out of the crouch she landed in and walking over towards him with steady steps, her Sciendana flowing behind her like a menacing shadow. Apparently, to keep up with you, I have to take unconventional shortcuts.
We're Tenno. Unconventional shortcuts is how we live.
More unconventional than that, Corey says, walking past him, since you seem to like flying around and landing anywhere. To keep up with you, I have to jump off buildings.
She's Titania,
Judge says, floating behind Corey as they stalk through cleared-out Corpus hallways. At least when I'm in my Titania, I have the decency to stay close or double back, Corey replies, pausing and reloading her Dragoon. Judge glances at their sentinels, and both of their Helioses have their optics focused on something beyond the wall.
Are you mad?
Judge asks. Annoyed, Corey replies. She steps forward and the automatic doors slide open. There's the immediate sound of crewmen moving into action, and Corey starts firing shots at them. Can we do this later?
Will you be less annoyed if I bring you Condrock eggs?
Judge asks. Corey pauses, mid-reload, as bullets bounce off of her harmlessly. Rhino's head turns just a bit. Live, or...
You like them cooked with the center still liquidy, right?
Judge says. Rhino is very still, ignoring the hail of bullets and energy beams shot their way, considering this.
I think they're called Sunnyside, because the yolk looks like a sun,
Judge continues. Corey turns towards the corpus, making an irritated click with her tongue before she finishes reloading her gun. Judge flies back a few feet because he's beginning to learn her tells in Rhino as she stomps down hard, and a burst of energy flows through the Warframe. A white sort of sheen glows over Rhino's body as she coats herself in armor and charges forward in a quick burst that sends Corpus and the machines flying in all directions. Yes, fine, I'll be a little less annoyed, Corey says as she turns and bursts forward again, hitting the crewmen who are just about to get up and sending them flying once more. We'll talk about it after this. Titania spins, shrinking down as her razor flies deploy.
Mortis would cry if you actually did incubate a live Kondrak. You know that, right?
Judge says.
There's no room for a bird that big on your ship. On any of your ships.
We don't know that, Corey says. I mean, there's that guy on Cetus who sells them to Tenno.
In cages, looking all sad and stuff. What are you doing?
Judge asks, uncertain, as he stops short on Corey's orbiter. He was going to ask her if he could borrow some of her ferrite. She's got an endless supply of ferrite and alloy, especially after that thing on Ceres a few cycles back, but it looks like she's in the middle of something. Corey's cleared out all the floor space, and she has vials and bits of paper and packets in some sort of grid arrangement. She also has fruit, slabs of meat, plants, and foods he recognizes from Cetus and various outpost bazaars. I'm testing, Corey says, standing with her back pressed against a wall as she examines the layout in front of her. Everything has a small little placard with symbols and colors on it.
Testing what?
Judge asks as he carefully walks over to her, taking care to place his feet directly in between each little setup.
Where is everyone?
I have them down on the lower decks. Ortis is watching them in his specter, Corey says, crouching and folding her fingers together in front of her face as she examines the displays set out before her with concentration he's used to seeing when she's lining up a difficult shot or planning a string of stealth kills.
What is this? What are you testing?
Corey points to one display which has a small container of red powder from Maru's. Flavor powder, the kind they mix with nutrient brick. That is red flavor.
Okay.
And then Corey points at some small pointed vegetation that she probably found on Cetus resting on some paper on another section. They look a bit dried and shrunken. That is also red flavor, but a little different.
Okay.
And then Corey points to something else, and that is also a red flavor. Why aren't they all the same flavor? How can all of them be red flavor? That one over there isn't even red. And then Corey starts pointing at Ernest. And this is supposed to be blue flavor, but then I tasted that one over there, and it's also blue flavor, but it isn't blue. And that's blue, but it isn't blue flavor at all. And then this has a touch of blue flavor, but it's not blue, and it's also not purple. That jar is purple flavor, but I tried the purple food, and it isn't purple flavor at all. Judge, what are flavors supposed to mean if they aren't color-coded? Am I eating nutrient brick with green flavor? Is the flavor really green flavor? Because all of this other stuff doesn't taste green. Judge stares at Corey, and then at the dozens upon dozens of food samples she has laid out.
Corey, you've snapped.
Corey glares at him. I have not.
Yes, you have. It's just, maybe the powder ones are only based on color because we lost whatever food they were based on first. And the people of Cetus don't eat nutrient brick. A lot of outposts don't eat nutrient brick. They eat real food.
Corey glares at him, and then stalks over to one yellow item, grabs it, and then grabs the jar of green powder and shoves them into his hands. Explain that to me. Taste it and explain it to me. Corey also grabs 2 small green fruit and adds that to Judge's hands. Eat a bit of each of these, and explain to me how they all taste the same and different. 2 of the green ones taste the same, but the yellow one also tastes like green. But then there's one green one that tastes totally different. Explain that to me, Judge. I really love that little segment of Corey finding actual plants that aren't powdered nameless flavors. This is so great. Like, obviously, I guess red flavor is like chili powder or something, and then she found some chilies, and then she found, I don't know, like an apple or something that was red, but doesn't taste like chilies, and she's losing her mind, and I love it. I love it. This is great. I absolutely love that chapter. There's so much small detail that just adds to the world, and it's like, Just watching Atenno's mental breakdown when they're not faced with their futuristic flavor powder food. It sounds very sad to eat. It's so great being exposed to just food. I love it. I love it. Anyway. Chapter 52. We just cleaned this ship, Corey says as she walks on board, and Judge resists the urge to fling himself into her field of vision so she doesn't see the many, many new additions he's added on since he learned to fish. What are those?
Stuff.
Judge says, stretching up on his toes to try to block her from seeing his entire ship. It, for obvious reasons, doesn't work. Are those fish? Corey asks, leaning around him and staring. Did you mount preserved fish on your wall? I feel so bad for Cephalon. Mine just has to deal with dog hair, but yours is under a near constant threat of losing power because all of the weight of her engines have to compensate for. Judge, there are 3 plaques of eels on your wall. Why? How far do these...
They were good catches, Judge says, defensive, and they look really cool.
Corey stares at him. No, your holo screens are cool. Judge blinks and then points at the nearest holo screen.
You think my holo screens are cool? You keep telling me to get rid of them.
Because you have them everywhere, and they all show different stuff, and it's really, really confusing, and it makes my head hurt, because they're all on different brightness settings, Corey says. If you had like 10 or 12 of them, I'd be fine with it. How much power does Skyla have to route just towards your holo screens anyway? That's not the point. Your holo screens are cool, but these fish are not. These fish, in this quantity, are weird. There are 10 Yogwans on that wall, Judge. 10.
I thought Yogwans were your favorite.
Sure, but I'm not about to put 10 of them on my wall, Corey says, and then stops. Eyes fixed on something Judge was hoping was buried under enough Iatan stars that she wouldn't notice. He cringes.
It is definitely what you think it is,
Judge says before Corey can say anything. She slowly turns her eyes onto him and says slowly, "It looks like a giant glass fish."
Yeah.
Why? Corey asks slowly. Do you have a giant glass fish?
Because I found several mini glass fish.
And you melted them together to fuse them into one big glass fish? Corey asks.
No.
Corey walks around him and pulls the thing out from the pile of Iatan stars. He was going to sell those. He swears. Honest. She examines it. Where did you find several mini glass fish?
Places.
Corey's mouth turns into a flat line.
On the plains with Onko's direction.
Onko. As in, mysterious, annoying guy from Cetus who always talks about the Unum and stuff? He told you to find little glass fish.
He seemed to imply that he hid them for Tenno to find. Like a little game.
Corey puts the fish down and walks past him back towards her ship.
Wait, Corey, did you need something? Where are you going?
I'm going to sit in my orbiter and relish the fact that I can see the walls and walk on the floor, Corey says. I give up on you. Live your life in clutter, you hoarder.
For someone who doesn't like coming around to Cetus, you sure are here a lot,
Punk says when he sits down next to where she's fishing. If you talk, Corey says, you'll scare away my fish.
Oh, so they're your fish now?
Punk looks around.
Where's your Nasser half?
I'd say the same for you, but that would imply that you have one, Corey replies. Shut up, I'm busy. Go bother someone else. Punk holds a hand up to his forehead and pretends to faint.
I'm wounded by your words.
If only.
So, what you doing?
She turns Titania's head to look at him as she pointedly spears a Yogwan through the eye. What does it look like?
I mean, you don't like people, so why are you in one of the most populated areas? Punk asks. I'm sure there are wild forests of Earth you could be peacefully alone at.
I don't like being surrounded with people. I don't like interacting with people, Corey says, but that doesn't mean I don't like people. Corey throws the fish onto a somewhat impressive pile of others like it. They need to eat.
That's unexpectedly nice of you, Punk muses. So, you don't like interacting with people, but you'll suck it up to feed them. Yes, I knew it. You are actually real sweet.
Corey wonders how much damage she could do if she threw the spear at Punk instead. She could always buy a new spear.
Or she could shove him into the water.
Do you have to be here? Corey asks instead.
Punk shrugs. Nah.
Corey thinks that's a pointed invitation for him to leave then. Punk lies down on the bank of the water. His Valkyr glows a faint blue as Punk rolls out of his Warframe, solidifying in a faint blue-white mist of energy as he spreads out on the grass and gravel.
What are you doing? Corey asks. Taking a nap.
Here? Corey gestures around them.
In the open, with regular Grineer drops and patrols. Vulnerable for all the world to rip apart. It's all nice and sunny, Punk says, yawning and stretching. Besides, you're right there. Where else in the plains would be safer?
Corey stares at the other Tenno.
You keep Hades alive all the time, and he does way riskier stuff than taking a nap on the shore of a lake, Punk says.
You're not Hades.
No, but I'm his friend, and yours as a reminder, so you won't let me die.
Corey thinks her spear would do much more damage against Punk now that he's out of his Warframe.
Punk yawns. Wake me up before you go. I'll help you carry the fish.
Well, she does need help carrying the fish.
Fine, Corey says. If your snoring scares the fish away, I'm going to throw you in and use you as bait.
Green is dangerous. I think green is, yeah, definitely. As we Corey doesn't like green. Hide and seek for the glass fish. That is an actual in-game mechanic. I have a glass fish in my orbiter because I found all the glass fish too. It was great. Yeah, so they're scattered on the plains of Eidolon, and if you scan them all, you get a big glass fish as a reward. It's great. I love it. You're looking all over the place for an annoying bird making noise to scare them away from your house. Oh no! The bird, oh, you were running around outside in the dark? My condolences. Yes, that, here, let me pause it. See? It's the running water and the bird and the trees and the wind and, yeah. That's me. Hey, that means it was so blending into the background that I was going for relaxing, you know? That's actually hilarious. Sorry, you had to go through that, but that is actually hilarious. I love the Plains of Eidolon. Plains of Eidolon are so great. I'm just loving all of these characters' interactions with each other. Like, this whole story, this whole book is just so character focused and character driven, and they've got such beautiful interactions, and they're so chef's kiss, as Sheik would say. Yes, these characters are amazing. Going crazy looking for a bird that wasn't even real. Yeah, my condolences. Chapter 53. Oh wait, yeah, chapter 53.
Alright, I think these are done. I mean, they look a lot like what I've seen the people of Cetus eaten, so we probably won't kill ourselves with this,
Punk says, tentatively sniffing the fish at the end of his spear and pulling it back from the flame in Ember's hands. Judge tentatively sits down at the edge of a blanket she had spread out when she left her trinity and removes his amp and gloves. Sheik's hair is violently pink in the plain light of Cetus's midday, and it's giving him a slight headache to look at directly. It's like it's letting off light of its own. Alpha, Sheik says, waving at the remaining Tenno, who's just been standing and watching them from inside his Oberon frame for the past half hour or so. Come on.
Yeah, big guy. All that silence and stalking around Yeah, big guy. All that silence and stalking around must make you hungry, Punk said,
waving one of the cooked fish in Alpha's direction.
Have a taste. Snack time.
The Oberon remains perfectly still before its head slowly tilts the minutest bit towards the side before it shakes its head slowly. Not hungry? Sheik says. Come on, you have to be.
Haven't you ever wanted to try all that stuff we give them? You've got to be sick of nutrient broke by now.
Punk waves the fish around, holding it out towards the Oberon's face.
Come on, smell it. Smells good, right? Come on.
He's not a dog, Sheik says, rolling his eyes. What are you doing? Judge admits that he's a little nervous to meet the Tenno behind call sign Alpha, the Alpha, and incredibly intimidating. The Oberon pushes the spear of fish Punk is waving at it with two sharp-tipped fingers and shakes its head more firmly this time.
Cousins, Alpha says through Oberon's speakers,
voice flat and low and ominous. The three of them glance at each other, trying to parse out what he means. Judge sincerely hopes that Alpha doesn't mean that the fish are his cousins, or that he's eaten the cousins and is no longer hungry, or whatever ominous statement and ending that one word in that tone of voice implies. Do you mean you're worried if you eat this that there won't be enough for the cousins too? Sheik says tentatively. The Oberon nods. The three of them let out relieved and incredibly nervous laughs.
Big guy, you've caught them a literal cave full of fish, Punk says, that you feel almost weekly for them to keep getting from. The people of Cetus won't starve if you eat one fish.
The Oberon shakes its head one more time and steps away.
Cousins.
Suit yourself, Sheik says.
We've got bread and jam,
Judge says, nervously raising his voice. The Oberon slowly turns to look at him with its golden optical cameras. Its many golden optical cameras. Judge's voice cracks a little when he speaks up again.
They're sweet.
The Oberon shakes its head again and silently moves around them and lies down on its side, back to them, head pillowed on its folded arm, and appears to go to sleep. Judge turns back to Punk and Sheik, who shrug and settle down on the blanket, taking off their own amps and gloves.
Alright, dig in, I guess,
Punk says, proceeding to immediately take a bite out of fish and yelp because it's still smoking a little.
Ow!
Yes, Punk, ow. Sheik rolls her eyes and gives Judge a commiserate look. Can you believe I have to put up with this?
You like this,
Punk says, grinning even as he fans his quickly reddening face. Sheik grimaces. Yeah, I know. I'm so disappointed in myself. Judge grins as he rips away some bread. It's weirdly multicolored. It has fruits and nuts in it, he thinks. Would it taste good with that jam he bought Corey the other day? He wonders what she's eating it with. It probably isn't so good with nutrient brick. Flavor-wise, it's a drastic improvement, but the texture, ugh.
Hey, what's your girl like?
Punk asks, and Judge looks up to see the other two Tenno looking at him. Sheik and Punk quickly exchanged alarmed looks.
Or is Persephone a girl? Sorry, are they? I shouldn't have assumed. It's just like that. Like, sorry? I mean, what's your partner like? Oh, Judge blinks. Persephone's a girl. You're fine.
Judge has a feeling that Corey doesn't care either way about what people think she is. She mostly prefers that people not think about her at all.
Why do you ask?
You had a look on your face, like you were thinking about her, Sheik says. And I'm curious. She's got an air of mystery around her.
She made it as a Saren. No. She made it as a Saren, Punk says. I was almost one. But I'm going to say it plain, I'm a garbage Tenno, and I made sure the Oracle knew it. I burned out like 5 of the friends they stuck me in. I don't think they'd have risked me burning out a Saren. Persephone's Persephone, Judge says, shrugging. What do you want to know about her? What's she look like? Punk asks. I heard her talk once, but that was because she thought I was you, and that's how we met. I've kind of mostly forgotten what she sounds like. Does she always just use the default voice that comes with all the frames? Yeah, Judge says. She doesn't like it when people know her.
A loner? Sheik tilts her head.
No.
Judge shakes his head. Corey isn't exactly a loner. She does actively avoid other people, but she did join a clan, and sometimes he's seen her messaging the others in them. And she's part of that Tenno trade network, too. Also, she's stood with him for this long.
She doesn't like crowds, Judge says, or being noticed. It makes her uncomfortable.
Some lingering effect of always being front and center when she was with Ballast, maybe. Ah, Sheik nods.
What's she look like? Punk asks. Does she look like her Warframes?
No. Judge shakes his head and raises his hand to about above his eyebrows, at the bottom of the gold strip embedded into his temple.
She's up to here when we stand next to each other, and she's like, flowers?
Flowers? Punk and Sheik repeat, turning to give each other baffled looks before turning back to Judge. Judge gestures in a vague circle around his right eye.
Here, she has her somatic scars, and around here, and they're this blue-green that kind of looks like leaves, and her hair is pink.
Punk points to Sheik. Sheik tugs at a wild lock of her own hair.
No, not so, violent, Judge says. No offense.
None taken.
Softer, Judge says. Like, flowers? Punk says. Yeah,
Judge says haplessly.
Like flowers. Huh, that's not the image I had, Punk muses. I was thinking someone like tough looking.
Judge thinks about Corey's new suit and armor, and the vivid red sash seemed to bind against the white of the armor plates and back of the suit's cloth.
No, she's really tough looking.
I was imagining someone who looked more subdued, Sheik says, turning around towards the Oberon behind her. What do you think, Alpha? What did you imagine Persephone would look like? Alpha? Happy, excited Neb makes me smile. Hey, well, hearing that you're smiling makes me smile. So, smiles all around. So, have running water sounds or beach sounds you hate. Birds. Ah, I do not have a running water or beach sound prepped. This is the only background noise I have, unless you want the normal peppy music that I usually play in my intros and outros. I can lessen the volume here. I'll turn it down. There should be a little better. Turn it down, but I'm not going to turn it off. Yeah, hopefully that helps a little. Your annoyance is immeasurable and your sleep is ruined. No, I'm sorry. They're louder than my voice. Oh, why didn't anybody tell me that? Somebody should have told me that. Oh my gosh. I can't hear what you guys hear. Like, I don't know what the audio sounds like from your guys' point of view. So you guys gotta tell me when stuff like that happens. Thank you, Jeff, for letting me know. Sorry that it had to be when there were only 10 minutes left in the stream, but there you go. Hopefully this helps a little. Okay. Next chapter. Chapter 54. Alright, this is probably gonna be the last chapter I'm gonna have time with. So we can start at 55 for our next stream. We'll see how long it takes. Chapter 54. Alpha? Sheik says, shaking the unresponsive Oberon. Wait he's not even in here. Judge gapes.
You mean he left his frame? I thought...
That he's like your Persephone and is super shy? Sheik says. No, he doesn't mind leaving his frame. In fact, that is the problem with Alpha.
One of several... whoops, wrong person. One of several, Punk says. Alright, pack it up. We've got, I think, about 5 hours before nightfall, and we lose all light. I'm not staying out here with Alpha on the loose at night. We gotta find him before nightfall. What's the problem with Alpha? Judge asks as he hurries to help the other two Tenno pack up their food. Is he not a good Tenno fighter by himself? Is he in trouble?
Sheik and Punk laugh, shaking their heads as Punk mournfully tosses the cooked fish at their kubra and kavats. Sheik sighs and crams a large chunk of bread in her mouth. Nah, Alpha's a great Tenno fighter. In fact, he's probably the only person who could beat the Empress in a Tenno fight, Punk says. That's not the problem with Alpha. The problem is that he's terrifying and completely unaware of it. Like, he's a good guy, don't get me wrong. He's the absolute gentlest, sweetest, kindest, overall best person you could ever meet. You saw it earlier, right? He didn't want to eat because he was worried if he ate one fish, the cousins of Cetus wouldn't have enough. He stockpiles food supplies in hidden caves around Cetus and gives the people directions to find them. He keeps them regularly filled, Sheik adds on. Alpha is 100% a wonderful and beautiful person. that is not the problem.
The problem with Alpha is that, for one thing, only 1 out of 20 words he thinks makes it out of his head, Punk says. So that creates some unnerving situations. Again, cousins. But he's also quiet. Very quiet.
Did you know the stalker doesn't go for him anymore? Sheik says, handing Judge a jar of honey that he wraps in cloth and stows in one of the small sachets that he has on his mesa. And Alpha's very sad about it. He really wants a dread. But apparently the stalker came for him once, and Alpha was so quiet that the stalker couldn't find him. Except that Alpha was waiting and following behind the stalker the entire time, and he said, "Dread," and the stalker called it quits because, I mean, if you were the stalker, or anyone really, and you were just looking for your target, and your target somehow managed to be directly behind you without setting you off the entire time, and then just went and said, "Dread," to you, you'd leave too. Judge isn't sure if this is true or not. It sounds highly improbable. The stalker manages to infiltrate orbiters and get past cephalons, the Lotus, and everyone else. He doesn't think that one single Tenno would be able to scare the stalker. Anyway, Alpha's quiet, and he doesn't realize that. So sometimes, at night, you'll just... Listen, let's not talk about it.
Oh, whoops. That's the wrong person. Haha, my bad. Anyway, Alpha's quiet, and he doesn't realize that. So sometimes, at night, you'll just... Listen, let's not talk about it.
Punk shakes his head.
Let's just not talk about it and hope we find him before nightfall.
They do not find him before nightfall. Punk holds his hand out, blue flame in the palm of his hand as they look around.
How have we not found him? Pug, you're supposed to be good at tracking.
Punk's Kubro, Pug, looks very dejected. Sheik's hair is a violent, bright, saturated pink even at night, and it's hurting Judge's eyes even more.
Alpha, Judge calls... Oh, that's Judge. Alpha,
Judge calls out, hearing nothing. He wonders if he should try whistling. Let's leave his frame here, message the Empress, and go back to Cetus, Sheik says. It's too dark, and I'm not ready to die.
There's nothing on the plains that the three of us can't handle, Judge says. And Alpha's a good fighter, you said so. No, listen, it's not about that, Punk frowns. It's... Look, if we waited for him to come back, who knows when that will be. It's... How do I even explain this? Alpha looks like a horror story. Have you ever heard of Slenderman? Or he's like an Orthos that's got more Orthos for limbs. Or that thing that humans used to use. The things that put outside their buildings of commerce to attract attention, they were like tubes and they waved around a lot. What? Anyway, he looked like that, with glowing eyes and a really chillin' voice. I, for one, am not willing to just wait for that to happen upon me. You said you met him at night, right? But in his frame, I want you to imagine the terror you felt, but multiply it by 1,000. You're exaggerating, Judge says, rolling his eyes and turning to yell into the night. Alpha, we've got your frame. Where are you?
He's not exaggerating, Sheik says. Just hope you never face that fear head on. Judge turns around to tell Sheik that they're both being dramatic, and freezes. Above Punk and Sheik, just on top of the rocks they were standing next to, is a glow. A glow. Two glows. One a deep gold, and the other a bright white blue, both looking down on them like spotlights. Judge's throat closes, and he feels the hair on the back of his neck raise. Punk and Sheik turn, and immediately Punk grabs Judge's arm, Judge grabs Sheik's, and Sheik finishes by grabbing Punk as they lurch into each other. Judge feels pressure build in his chest as the eyes slowly move, like a head tilting, and he hears through the night, "Shh." Judge screams. There's no shame in that. Judge screams. Punk screams. Sheik screams. They are all screaming, and all of them discharge bursts of white energy at once. Judges snap out in a jagged magenta line. Punk's billows out in clouds of blue flame, and Sheik's ripples over the ground in a wave of bright pink. All of their void energy just seems to just slide away from the figure on the rocks. The figure that stands, and stands, and stands. Judge's neck is craning back with how high the eyes have risen. Shh. The eyes repeat, and there's a scuff of a shoe. The eyes slowly return to being level. Afraid?
Yes, Punk screams, voice an entire octave higher. Void, yes, I'm afraid! What the heck, Alpha?
Sheik starts laughing hysterically. You scared Hades so bad he's gone white! Alpha, seriously!
How many times have we told you? Warning!
Punk bursts out, pulling himself from Judge and Sheik's grip as he waves his arms.
Get down here!
Scuffed boot, Alpha says. His voice is low, deeper than Judge's heard on any other tenno, and very, very soft.
You did that afterwards, though,
Punk groans as Alpha jumps off the rock, landing in a crouch before standing up again. Judge gapes as he cranes his neck back. Alpha is tall, probably just as tall as his Warframe, if not taller, and thin. He does look like a bunch of orthoses that got stuck together. Shh. Alpha lifts a finger up to his mouth. Up close, in the light of Sheik's hair and Punk's flames, Judge can see that Alpha has two colored eyes. His left eye is gold, and his right eye is light blue. And he has a very closed face. His face looks unchanging. A poker face, Maru would call it, like a Warframe's. It doesn't change. Alpha shushes them again and points over his shoulder. Sleeping now.
What is?
Punk asks, walking around to the rocks to where Alpha had been crouched over earlier.
Oh, cool.
Judge follows Punk and sees a nest of sleeping kuakas, all huddled together. Were you with them all day? Sheik asks, baffled. Alpha slowly shakes his head, gesturing them to wait before he jogs off. He returns a moment later with his hands full of something. He tilts his hands out to them and shows an entire fistfuls of Ayatan stars and some sort of plant. He holds his hands out towards them, gesturing for them to take them. The three of them hold out their hands as he pours the stars and the plant leaves and berries into their palms before jogging back to where he came from and coming back with another handful.
Where did you?
Judge asks, baffled. Felt them, Alpha says slowly. Saw a fisherwoman with the same. Aw, Sheik says. We wanted to spruce up our picnic lunch. Alpha nods.
And the stars?
Judge asks. Alpha shrugs. Felt them too.
Alpha can sense things in the ground.
It says Judge, but I'm pretty sure this is Punk.
Alpha can sense things in the ground, Punk explains, and he can feel minerals and stuff. Part of his focus or something. Told ya, nicest guy. Terrifying, but nice.
Yay! That is the end of chapter 54. We're gonna start next stream with chapter 55. That's gonna be it for today. Have a great night, Neb, just in case I pass out. Alright, thank you. Hey, you're gonna pass out? We'll pass out together. How about that? I'm gonna pass out on my end. Can't take the birds anymore. It's giving me PTSD. Oh my gosh. Even after I turn them down? Ouchies. Have a good night. Have a good night, Jeff. Thanks for sticking around. Your voices are great, by the way. Aw, Tanky. I'm glad you like them. I'm worried that I don't know if I'm worried that I'm making Sheik sound too annoying. I don't want to make her sound annoying, but I just imagine her with a high voice. And then, yeah. I know Judge doesn't have an accent. I mean, not Judge. Punk. I know he doesn't have an accent. But, like, I figured, I don't know, just a way to keep him unique. Plus, yeah. Anyway, he has an accent in my head, even though it's not canon. So I'm giving him an accent because I'm reading the story. So there we go. I'm terrible at, I don't even know if that's an actual Southern accent. I'm terrible at accents. So if you speak a Southern accent, I apologize for my terrible accent. I try though. I try. Great stream. Thank you, Mikali Master. Tanky. Alright, well, I'm gonna leave the background music on when I head out, because this is supposed to be a nice calming ASMR stream, so I'm gonna keep it that way. So So I'm definitely making this a thing where I read this story every other week on YouTube. That's gonna be a YouTube exclusive thing that I'm gonna be doing. It's all in the name of fun, right? Yeah. I do have fun. Hope you had fun too. But so yes, this is gonna be a thing. Every other Thursday, we're gonna have me continuing this story. And it's gonna be a thing. Have a wonderful evening. Hey, you too! Whoa. No. Not you too. I mean, yes, you too, but also no you. You have a wonderful evening. Have a very wonderful evening, Callie Master. Thanks so much for sticking around. Thanks so much for enjoying the stream. Thank you to Jeff, Jesse, and Hayden, and all them people who showed up. I love this story. Can't wait to finish it. And when we finish it, I can't wait to start the next story. I'm just really having fun reading this story, okay? I just really like it. So I don't have a lot of news. We're going to play Plague Star on Saturday and Sunday. That's going to be the next 2 streams. It's just Plague Star because, duh, Plague Star. That's Warframe, by the way. Playing Warframe. It's a Warframe week. We played Warframe Tuesday. We read about Warframe today, and then we're playing Warframe Saturday, Sunday. There you go. It's a Warframe week, apparently. Alright. I'll see you guys around. Have a wonderful time. You'll be there? Hey! Thanks. But thanks, by the way, for all of your lovely comments over on Twitter. You always have something sweet to say, and I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Alright. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Maybe I should have found the end screen button before I said goodbye. Alright, there we go. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, remember. If you get sad, it's illegal to kill people. Just remember, you can always kill them with kindness. Alright, bye-bye.